Hello everybody, welcome to Good Morning Source Gaming. I am Matthew Lovenska, and we will be talking about a lot of neat things today. We've got some incredible rumors about Sora in Super Smash Bros., and we have some interesting things to take away from an Atlus survey. So let's get right into it, and I will bring in the Peanut Gallery. Also, Turles is still here. He's always with us in our hearts. Alright. I'm going to let them know that I'm unmuting so Colin can stop talking.
Noted. I'll keep that
Hello.
note in my
Hi.
head in case it ever comes.
Hello.
I don't.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
What's up?
Hi.
Hey,
Are we live?
Hey,
Yes, we are live.
A Smatto Smink.
Yes.
Have you seen the image of like 1 to 5? Like visualize an apple. What do you see?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that image floating around?
Yeah.
Yeah, Spazzy and I were talking about how the fuck do you not see an apple?
I don't understand. Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
And
I
I
feel
was
like-
I was gonna mention whenever anyone's like, oh my god, you guys can picture things, I can't. I just think of that like that one part of The Simpsons where like Homer's trying to think of something and like his pupil keeps rocking back and forth because he can't visualize anything.
Yes.
it's.
Yes.
I feel like it's like in Blade Runner the Voight comp test to find out if you're a replicant. I feel like this is the last question on there.
Yeah.
They're like,
Think of an apple. What do you see? And it's like, oh, I just see mashed potatoes.
he's a robot. This guy's a robot. He can't picture an apple.
Yeah, no, I don't get this either. I saw people talking about it on Twitter, and I was like, I don't get it. They're all apples. What is it? Are you asking if I visualize an apple, how realistic I visualize it? I mean,
I can
I
visualize a
visualize it
cartoon
like
apple.
an apple.
If you ask me to visualize a cartoon apple, I can do that too. I don't. I just don't get, and it's not like nothing against people that apparently have this. I don't know, you want to call it a condition
Inability
or
to
worldview? I don't know. I just don't understand it.
It's like
I
the
read it-
same thing when people are like, you're telling me you have an inner monologue, and I'm like, you don't. How do you like think of what?
But
to
okay,
say?
Like thinking.
okay.
Okay.
But if somebody,
okay.
if somebody says, "Hey, Jessica, do you remember what she looks like?" If you can't visualize her, how do you just have like a memory bank of data? You're all like approximately 5'6", black hair, white complexion.
Okay.
If
Okay.
I
So
visualize an apple, is it a British apple or is it just a regular apple? Do you
It's
guys
just a-
visualize
it's-
American apples?
I
What?
visualize Fuji apples or like Honeycrisp.
I visualize the phone if somebody says to visualize an
Um,
apple. But
okay.
Hey.
Okay. So spilled pants
Dad
is in
jokes
the
here.
spilled paints is in the chat right now. So I have a method to make life easier for you. I have made a text document where I will be typing the topic we are talking about, and it's just going to be at the top of the screen, so it'll be easier to find the timestamps.
It's this new age, new age
Yeah,
revolutionary
what
idea.
what is a British apple? Like,
There's a difference?
it's a bit more proper.
It's a bit more regal, you know.
it's the company that owns the recording rights to the Beatles.
Why is Turl still in the background? By the way, Get rid of
Because
him now.
he's
Back in the
always with
basement.
us.
Back
He's
in the basement
always with
him.
us.
Get that thing out of here.
No.
He's in the Disney vault.
He can come back. He can come back when we're talking about the Sonic movie.
Or
Get
when we're
him out
talking.
now.
Alright.
Do you think that's why Disney doesn't want Sora jumping ahead? Because they want to put him back in the vault. Nintendo like, no, he's just DLC. They're like, listen, he's DLC for 2 months. You don't get him, he's back in the vault.
And then back in the vault he goes. But how's everyone doing today?
I'm
Doing pretty
good.
all right.
Apple for breakfast. I had an apple for lunch.
I had some ham and eggs. They were not green.
I had Dunkin' Donuts per usual.
Very healthy, very healthy breakfast there.
No, it's just a bagel. It's not.
Oh, that's not
I didn't
Donut.
eat like a 12-pack of brownie batter donuts. I just had like I just had egg on a bagel. Like, damn,
Bagels
dude.
don't count as donuts, Colin. I'm sorry to say.
Uh,
They have a hole in them, I know, but
someone in chat says you guys are literally about to discuss something and keep going over a couple messages that are trying to tell you that rumor was fake.
It's not fake. There's no confirmation.
Well, first off, it's not a rumor. Second of all, we know. We know.
We're not like ignoring the chat. We're just talking about something else.
Yeah.
We got a schedule here we're sticking to. And
Yeah.
that stupid bunny ears quote unquote rumor will be spoken about in a second. But
Did you
like
say bunny ears? That's cute, dude.
Yeah, it's the bunny ears for the quotes.
That's
Yeah.
freaking adorable.
you gotta visualize the air quotes.
But I will take issue when he says people saying Nintendo gave Sakurai a list of potential characters for him to choose, and people take that as fact. I think Sakurai basically said that Nintendo picked the characters and he could veto it. In fact, I'm sure he said that. So that's basically the same thing.
Yeah, like Nintendo picked the characters, and Sakurai could basically say, "I can do it" or "I can't."
Yeah.
And if he can do it, then he does it. He can't like be like, "No, let's do a different character instead."
Now, the fact that there was an overall list, yeah, that's speculation. But I mean, it's kind of valid speculation. I feel like.
But all right, let's go. Let's talk about before we get into the main topics. You know how we're doing today. What we've been playing games recently. I'll start because I've beaten Shovel Knight yesterday, King of Cards, which is now means it's all done, and I can put the Wii U away, back into the drawer it goes. No reason.
No, but like you have to Earthseeker.
Well, did Colin just die?
Oh, god damn it. You have to play Earthseeker. Earthseeker.
Is it on Switch?
No, actually it's on the Nintendo Wii.
They need to ramp up Wii
even
ports,
further
man.
back in the. But yeah, we need Wii port and GameCube ports.
Here, you know what? I'm gonna fix
And
everyone's
3DS
life
ports,
by
man.
turning off my VPN here.
Ports, to be honest. Ports
Okay,
on
we're good.
every system. But yeah, now that I've beaten Shovel Knight, I finally started Resident Evil 2, the remake, which I started this
love
morning.
Resident Evil 2.
Well, all right, I've got a question for the guys who have played it.
Yeah,
Did you
what's
play
up?
it on normal mode or hardcore mode?
I
I-
played
I've
it on
done
easy
both.
mode
I've
because
done
I
both.
am a pussy and I'm not a real gamer.
Shovel
just-
did both, as he did easy.
I did normal.
Okay, so I thought I'd start it on hardcore mode, and I'm still debating in my head whether it was a good decision or not.
Nope. Have you
Um,
played a lot of survival horror and old school Resident Evil?
I mean, that's what hardcore mode effectively is. It makes it like
Yeah,
the
don't do it.
original. And I've beaten the original Resident Evil 2, so I figured I'd do the hardcore mode. But like, goddamn, I died to the first zombie. I like loaded my
No, but
entire
here's
my
the
entire
difference.
round into it.
Yeah, here's the difference: is that because this is an action game and you aim more, like in the old Resident Evils with tank controls, it was super hard to kill things and get headshots and whatnot. But I feel like you could still like down a zombie with an okay amount of bullets. In this game, you have to, if you're playing on harder difficulties, you have to really aim well.
The Resident Evil 2 remake is harder than the original Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
Because it basically like limits your resources way more.
Yes.
Because Resident Evil 2 just flat out becomes an action game like halfway through. It just gives you a whole lot of ammo.
Which happens on easy mode, by the way. At one point,
Mm.
because I did my second playthrough on normal because there's a difficulty. You're right. There's this difficulty curve in the game where you don't have at the beginning. Your ammo's so limited, and that's why. And I was playing it. My girlfriend and I were switching off, and I don't like to be stressed out when I play video games. So I'm like, let's just go to easy mode. We'll play through, and then when I played Story B, I played it on normal because I got more of a handle on it. But yeah, when you're playing on easy mode, there's a point where you're just like you have so much ammo. You're like, this is no longer survival horror. Yeah.
Well, like so far I've gotten the extended ammo clip that you get from Leon's desk.
Yeah.
And then I made it to the black room or the red room or whatever it's actually called, which is like, a safe spot where zombies won't try and kill me.
Yeah.
So I'm currently resting there with 3 ribbons left and all my ammo. But like when you're losing, I was just gonna like start stabbing people to save ammo, and then I lost my knife when a zombie attacked me, and I had to kill it to get it back.
Stabbing isn't very consistent in Resident Evil 2 Remake because zombies magnetize to you, and you magnetize to zombies, so they'll just like initiate a grabbing animation when you're trying to stab them.
I'm a bit annoyed that when you get grabbed by zombies, there's literally nothing you can do about it unless you do have a knife.
Yeah.
In which case you can sacrifice the knife to basically stop yourself from getting hit.
It's pretty annoying.
Nothing else you can do to stop it, like not even some sort of quick time event was a bit annoying. But I'm trying to debate because I'm an hour into the game essentially.
So
and like, should I keep playing on hardcore mode or should I just keep going on normal? I kind of feel like I should do hardcore mode because it's not that long and I've already started it.
The game's about like 14 hours long or something.
It's gonna get difficult for you once. Is Mr. X already chasing you? You doing Leon or are you doing?
Doing Leon's story. I have not seen
Mr. X will come around like an hour into it.
Yeah.
After where you are.
Yeah, okay. So it'll be very soon.
Here's just some words of advice. I can't remember exactly how it is, but Mr. X is he chases you all around the house, but when he appears and when he leaves is scripted. So you can actually, like, if you know what the triggers are to get him into the house and get him out, you can do other stuff and do exploration and go to other rooms and kill things before and after he appears.
He's very predictable and very easy to route around because he'll never run while he's going after you.
The problem is when you get to rooms that have shit in it.
Yeah. If you ever get to a room where Mr. X is chasing you and there are lickers, you're dead. That's it.
Great.
I still have to start my second playthrough. I've really wanted to play it with the first-person mod on PC because like it looks and controls really, 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 really good.
I feel like there's zero reason to play scenario A and scenario B with both characters.
I want to.
Apparently, the remake doesn't have that in this one.
It does, but it's really bad.
Yeah, it doesn't change much.
Yeah. You just play through the same game again, except they change a little bit of the introduction. And I think Mr. X like chases you from the start or something.
Because the introduction's already different from the original, seeing as you start at a petrol station.
Yeah.
And Leon and Claire basically meet instantly.
Mr. X is in the original, but the way he works in the original is that he only shows up at scripted points, whereas Mr. X in the remake is basically Nemesis, where he'll just like follow you for like an entire bit of the game until he's dies in a scripted sequence.
Okay.
Right. like there's like 3 or 4 different times where he appears and disappears. Like I think when you go down to the to like the jail and stuff, he disappears. Or wait, no, he reappears there. Like there's a couple times where like there's a certain event that for whatever reason he disappears at for a little while. And I feel like knowing that beforehand makes the game a lot easier because you'd be like, okay, as long as I don't walk into this room where he's holding up the helicopter or whatever, I can clear out other rooms of enemies and do what I need to do and then go back. Yeah.
Assuming I have the ammo to clear out rooms.
Once you like approach the helicopter from behind, he follows you until he dies.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Good things to keep in mind for my hardcore run through.
It's right when you when you turn on the emergency water to put out the fire. Once you go inside after that, you approach a helicopter and then Mr. X shows up and follows you forever.
Great. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'll probably play it a bit more tonight. But Resident Evil 2 is now my big game after Dragon Quest, and hopefully, if it starts to become like actually impossible, I might just restart on normal mode. But I'm hoping that my hardcore gamer skills will push me through.
Also, Dingy Bell in the chat, did you, I think characters get different weapons between Scenario A and B in Remake. I don't know if they changed the spawns, but I do know Claire and Leon have their own pool of weapons. They're completely different for the most part. Just by default. Doesn't matter if it's A or B.
Okay. So what's everyone else been playing then? What about you, Shadowlink?
I've been playing Dragon's Dogma, Hideaki Itsuno game, and it is absolutely wonderful. It's so
I can't get into it.
It's very similar to, I guess, the older Elder Scrolls in the structure, but it has action game combat, and you can scale any large monster. So you can climb up monsters and get to their head and like attack them to knock them over. And that core loop of going after big monsters, once you get strong enough, it's like all you do, and it's so satisfying going after every single boss. I have been playing Dragon's Dogma obsessively for the last month, and I am I'm 125 hours in, and I'm almost done with the game. I'm doing everything because I have a problem where I do everything in every game I play, but with Dragon's Dogma I don't mind because I love the game, I love everything about it, so I'm like, alright, I'll do everything before I finish this up.
I remember Dragon's Dogma was kind of ruined by its bad demo. It wasn't actually a bad demo. So here's the thing with that game. When we saw it coming up, me and my friends at the time were like really interested in it.
Oh, it's the demo.
Well, so the demo is just a section from the beginning with a big monster fight. But the problem with the demo is it's not multiplayer. It doesn't allow you to play it in multiplayer. You can only do single player.
There's no multiplayer.
And that... Oh, there isn't multiplayer. I thought there was multiplayer.
So the way Dragon's Dogma works is that there's a pawn system where you make your own companion for the journey, and you can have two other companions, which are pawns from other players' games. And you can hire them.
All right, never mind. Then it wasn't just the demo. So we were looking at this game and seeing it as we hadn't played Monster Hunter, but I guess that's the closest thing to describe it as, where 4 people can go around do missions together and that's what we were interested in. And then when we played the demo and found out that it was only single player, we all like instantly lost interest in playing the game. It was a game that seemed like it was perfect for co-op that just didn't have it for seemingly no reason.
I think it's because back then it wasn't really feasible, because Dragon's Dogma could barely run on the Xbox 360 and PS3 to begin with.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, so I've been playing it on PC, smooth 60 frames per second. It's excellent performance-wise. And I think with Devil May Cry 5 proving that you can do co-op in like a really fast-paced action game with a lot of spectacle going on, maybe Dragon's Dogma 2 will actually have that co-op, even if it's like asynchronous or not.
I still need to sit down and try it out, because I never bought the game for the longest time, because back when PlayStation Plus was like actually good and was giving away like big AAA games like 2 months after release, I got Dragon's Dogma for free. And it wasn't until Dark Arisen came out on the next gen systems and PC that my friends were like, oh, you should play that shit. And so I was like, all right, I'll try it out. But like, it's the PS3 version, so I was just like, wow, this is fucking awful. Like, this is just not good in the slightest.
It barely runs like consistently on the PS3 and Xbox 360. They even have to like letterbox it to get it to run.
But I did get the Switch port of Dark Arisen, so I just gotta one day sit down and get comfy and play that.
Yeah, Dragon's Dogma,
which I've seen runs pretty damn well.
It runs smooth at 30 frames per second. I think it's
Yeah.
really improved by getting up to 60 frames per second. But if it stays consistent, it should be no problem. And the Switch version doesn't have the letterboxing, so it
Yeah.
should be fine. The thing with Dragon's Dogma is that there's a bit of a climb before you can actually experience Dragon's Dogma like to its fullest, because the game is kind of really hard at the start, and it always stays really hard, but you become more able to take on those challenges after you get to like level 15 and you have more better weapons and more weapon skills.
I mean, that's just like RPG progression right there.
Yeah, kind of. But it's like it really opens up once you're strong enough to take down the giant boss monsters on your own. But also, I may have fucked up while I was playing the game because I didn't realize that you can hire 2 other pawns from other players. I just thought, oh, I can take 1 pawn from another player, and then I have this pawn that the game already gave me. I didn't realize that only your pawn levels up, and you have to keep switching out your party as the game goes on. So I had this pawn that the game just gives you at the beginning before you can make your own, and I had him for like 10 hours of the game, and I was like, why does he keep dying? What the fuck's going on? And then I realized, oh, he's level 8. And I'm like level 20, and everyone else is level 20. Oh shit.
I also I also recently picked up God Eater 3, so I'm debating about starting that up as well. Did Dragon's Dogma get a physical release on Switch? Yes. It is like one of the few Capcom port outliers where like they actually bothered like pricing it well, because it was just $30, which I think is totally fine for a late gen, early next gen port.
As far as I know, Dragon's Dogma is the most recent Capcom IP that's actually done well. So like the people over at Capcom really like it. They made an MMO, Dragon's Dogma, that was Japan only. It's weird. It had no involvement from Hideaki Itsuno because he was busy.
I remember
with some
that
other
because
stuff.
I went to the Capcom cafe and they had like advertisements for it and like a promotional deal with the food, and I was just like, cool, it's this game I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I'll never have any involvement in at all.
I think there will be a Dragon's Dogma 2 because a quote from Ruben Langdon on a horrible podcast, which you should not watch, but just take my word for it, was that Hideaki Itsuno was really upset with Capcom and wanted to leave. And Capcom said, hey, you're a really valuable guy. We want to keep you. What will it take to keep you here and get you to stay? And he was like, Devil May Cry 5 or Dragon's Dogma 2. And he made Devil May Cry 5. I think Dragon's Dogma 2 will be next on his plate, unless he's making a new IP or reviving an older IP. He said he wants to work on rival schools again, which, that's cool.
Please, that'd be good. I want to see. I've gotten into quirky fighters, and it's kind of made me realize that all the fighters from each company with staying power have been the ones with like the most boring roster. Like,
yeah,
the characters I feel like in Rival Schools and Darkstalkers are more interesting than the characters in Street Fighter, and the characters in Fighting Vipers are more interesting than the ones in Virtua Fighter.
I remember back in like the heyday before Hideaki Itsuno was making Devil May Cry, he worked on like a lot of fighting games for Capcom. He did Rival Schools and he did Power Stone. And those are 2 games which people like a lot, which probably would be cool to see come back.
I think another thing about Dragon's Dogma though was that like it's sort of like really interesting how that game even like exists, because it was made during a time when Capcom was still following Inafune's like weird
actually,
like Westaboo stage.
It was before. They started it before that happened, and they kept doing it.
They started it before, but
It actually had...
It's still developed.
It was
through
developed
that.
during the time, but
Yeah.
Inafune didn't touch it at all. So basically, after Devil May Cry 4, Capcom was like, "All right, what's the next? What's a new AAA game that we can make?" So they started taking ideas from developers around the company, and Itsuno had the idea for Dragon's Dogma since 2000. But
didn't
finally, around 2008, with the new systems, he could finally realize it. So he pitched Dragon's Dogma, and that pitch ultimately won. So they started developing it around like 2009ish, and they finished
wasn't
it
like
in
the game still
2012.
like? Wasn't that game still like held back by like budget constraints? 'Cause
Yes,
they had a lot of ideas, and
they did cut
Capcom
the
was
budget.
like, I don't know.
Capcom did cut the budget on Hideaki Itsuno again.
Yeah.
They were supposed to go to the moon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because that's what I heard, is that even though Inafune had nothing to do with it, it was the fact that he was so high up in the corporate
No.
ladder at that point.
Inafune had nothing to do with the budget cuts. It was just Capcom.
No, I'm just
Capcom
saying. I
Capcom.
thought. I think the idea was that his ideas of like,
Yeah.
oh shit, we gotta westernize everything, was influencing.
Yeah,
the budget.
I think Dragon's Dogma was probably safe
that
from that
was-
because it's a very Western inspired game already. So
Maybe.
like it has that worldwide appeal already. I don't think Inafune had anything to do with Dragon's Dogma's budget cuts.
I doubt
We
it.
have no word that he had anything to do with the budget cuts, but considering they cut the budget on Devil May Cry 4 also, Itsuno just has bad luck with Capcom screwing him over, which is probably the reason that he wanted to leave to begin with.
Well, it was still like the first real, like, just like after a string of like all of these new Capcom games that were all just like Western developed, or even like way west, like heavily Western focused. Like Dragon's Dogma was definitely like, I think it was the one that kind of proved like, okay, maybe this whole like everything doesn't have to be Gears of War to sell.
Yeah,
Only Dead
it
Rising.
did really
Only
good.
Dead Rising needs to be.
It is
Yeah.
inspired by Berserk. Berserk. There's clear characters who are references to Berserk. It's inspired by the Elder Scrolls, Berserk, a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, it's a really interesting game. I recommend it to anyone who likes open world games. It's the best open world game I've ever played.
I own it, and I played it on Switch, and I'm not a fan. That's my.
What don't you like about it?
I don't know. I've honestly, I need to give it a fair shake. I've only played about less than an hour of it. It's just something about the combat doesn't resonate with me. And yeah, you go, but you know what? I'm tired of like playing games for 8 hours before I like them. I've got like 60 games in my backlog. If something doesn't click with me, I don't care.
Yeah, but I think like I think like 2 hours is a good mediator.
I would say that
I'm sure it depends on the length of the game, but like I always say,
But
like,
here's the thing:
if you're
if
not
the core mechanics don't appeal to me, then like,
it might grow on you. I don't know.
Have you climbed your first monster yet? Because that was the moment Dragon's Dogma really clicked with me.
I mean, like I said, I'll give it another shot. I think part of it too is I'm playing a lot in handheld mode on the Switch, and you can't see shit.
Ooh.
It's so dark, and you can't really
get
see.
them reading glasses.
Dragon's Dogma
Have
is
you
one
played
of
Dragon
those
Dogma on Switch?
super cool games where you have to carry a lantern at all times.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's completely dark at night.
Yeah,
it's really
just-
I
don't
like
know.
that about it. It's immersive.
Like I also couldn't get at all into the first Dark Souls. I bought the remastered one on Xbox, and man, it's just like, and that I did give a couple hours to, and it just everything felt like a slog. It felt so clunky. Dark Souls.
I need to play more of Dark Souls. I started playing it on the 360, and now that I have the remastered on Switch, I really want to.
I should
jump
probably
into it.
play it as well. Demon Souls is still the only one I've really played out of that series.
Okay. What I remember about Dragon's Dogma now is that the intro, like, pitch you in this cliffside where there's a dragon, and you fight a chimera at the end of that intro.
Yes.
And that is a very confusing intro because the chimera is one of the tougher enemies in Dragon's Dogma. You have to really scale it and fight its head. You have to scale it, you have to attack the goat, you have to attack the snake.
I'm probably gonna give it another go because I own it. But I have so many games in my backlog that I just tried to play it for a little while. It didn't impress me, and I moved on to something else. And it's probably exactly what you're saying, that the intro was super confusing.
I accidentally had Phantom's icon on screen instead of Nantan's.
I mean, I'm sure he'll come on if we want him to. When do we think there'll be a Nintendo Direct? I'm gonna say next week, chat. Next week.
Yeah, I guess we'll do this one now.
Any week now. Any week now.
I'm just gonna say next week. Let's just say that. I mean, I think it'll be in February.
They do a February Direct on around Valentine's Day a lot.
I think that there will be an Animal Crossing Direct this month, but I think the next General Direct is going to be in March.
I'm going to say it's the other way around. Well, I think an Animal Crossing Direct might be beginning of March and the general one.
When does Animal Crossing come out? Is it at the end of March or the beginning of March? Oh,
March
okay.
20th.
Maybe it'll be the reverse
Same
then.
day as Dumb Eternal.
For some reason, I thought it was the 3rd.
That's Pokemon. Mystery Dungeon.
Okay.
Yeah.
All the games are coming out in the next 2 months, guys. All of them.
Yeah,
It's literally all of March to April, like that. Those 2 months.
But what am I playing, you ask?
Yeah, what do you play?
What are you playing?
Not Dragon's Dogma. I've been busy. I really haven't been playing much. I played through a lot of Ninja Gaiden and Blaster Master on the NES thing on what do you call that app on the Switch? What do they call it? The Nintendo
Nintendo Switch Online.
NES Online.
NES Online.
Yeah. Just because they were quick and they were there, and I'm between doing things or games I'm familiar with.
Yeah, that's fair.
It did make me think. Is there any reason to ever play Blaster Master now that Blaster Master Zero comes out? Came out. I think the answer to that is no.
For the history of it.
If you want to learn the lore, I don't.
No, it's a remake. It's literally like Metroid Zero Mission. It has the same everything except so many quality of life improvements.
I think older games that get remade are still worth playing for the history of it. Even if it's like a 1-to-1 remake.
I played a little bit more of Spider-Man on the PS4. I'm still everybody loves that game, and I'm still not completely into it. But I think I just need to play a little bit more to get a little bit better at web swinging my way across the city.
Neat.
Did anyone just hear that?
What?
Sorry, we're in the middle of a storm here. There's massive thunder crash just outside my house.
All right.
Don't die.
If Nantan disappears, he's dead.
He's dead. Yes, confirmed.
Yes, the whole building has been struck by lightning.
Fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, you saw my Twitter earlier. It was like I filmed the rain outside. And it was absolute chaos. And there was even hailing at one point. Absolute madness. Sorry, go on, Spaz. I keep cutting you off.
No,
Absolute madness.
I was gonna say I was thinking about buying Warcraft 3 Reforged, but apparently,
don't do that.
Apparently, it's awful. It's just really bad.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. I'm somebody that actually played the first 2 Warcrafts, never played Warcraft 3, but then played a lot of World of Warcraft. So I'm like, I should really play the one game in the series that everyone says is
Didn't they?
Good.
Didn't they retroactively make the original Warcraft worse because of the new version? Like they changed something about the old version?
They yeeted it. They took it off of the
it's gone.
Battle.net. Yeah,
it's gone.
Not play
oh my god.
Warcraft 3 anymore. Listen, gamers, we gotta talk for a second because game remasters, big thumbs up. I think game remasters are pretty slick. Of course I do. I own a fucking Nintendo Switch. But PC game remasters are probably the most defeatist shit I have ever seen, because unless the game was like Resident Evil 4 and was just like this like awful, god awful, just no good, bad like original PC experience that needed a brand new version to exist.
Devil May
like
Cry 3.
Yeah, I don't understand the idea of making modern versions of old PC games,
Oh,
especially
man.
if you're just gonna make them like significantly worse. Like a really good example of this is when they did Call of Duty 4 with Modern Warfare Remastered, and they took a game that was like $10, all the DLC was free, it runs on toasters, it has like dedicated servers, you can mod the hell out of it, and they made like this like $60 really unoptimized like matchmaking PvP only, and it's like, why would anyone on PC play this when the original game still exists, it's cheaper, and it's like better in every single way? And that's how I feel about like a lot of stuff. Like wasn't there like an Age of Empires remaster a few years ago that everyone was
But-
like, yeah,
but
why
here's-
the fuck would you play the HD version?
But here's the thing, like, Blizzard already did a remastered version of StarCraft, and it was really well received and great because it was literally from a game, like literally exactly the same game, but with just better graphics and sound.
Yeah.
But this apparently, the Warcraft 3 one was outsourced to some company that doesn't know what they're doing. Because
I hate it
Blizzard,
when
Activision.
remasters are meant to supplant the original.
Yeah.
And in the way that Warcraft 3 Reforged does, where now that it's new, the old one is gone forever.
There's
which
only
is that's horrible.
I think there really is only a few
Yeah.
situations where like the remaster or like the new version is better than the original. I think
Dragon's Dogma's one of them.
Yeah, Dragon's Dogma. Well, wasn't there only Dark Arisen on PC? I'm
Yes.
just talking PC games here. I'm not
Yes.
talking like console. games.
Skyrim Special Edition's way fucking better than the original.
Yeah, Metro Redux is way better than the original releases of 2033 and Last Light. You could I mean, this is up for debate, but like Doom 3 BFG, depending on your taste, might be better than the original. Just like, but Doom 3 doesn't replace the original though, because you can still buy the original. But yeah, like I don't know, it's so weird. I hate the fact that Blizzard, a company that was like, for the longest time, you could still go to a Best Buy and like buy the original like Diablo 2 like on disc in a big box.
I
Blizzard makes
know
me sad because they
Devil
were-
May Cry 4 Special Edition on PC is like one of the worst PC ports that we've gotten in the modern age, which sucks because Devil May Cry 4 is like an amazing PC port. And that's because they outsourced the port to the guys that made Drakengard 3.
For like
They're not
for
good
ye-
programmers.
For decades, Blizzard was one of the most like consumer friendly companies out there. Like they
Really.
they had such like great communication with their fans, and they were
Mhm.
so open about everything, and they were just like one of those companies that you know, not that you should genuinely like any corporation, but they, you know, you could be a fan of them and their business practices and the way they did everything, and there was a certain, much like Nintendo, a certain quality and polish to all of their products.
And then they merged with Activision.
With Activision.
Yeah. Everything can be traced back to Activision.
Yeah, really.
I really like when remasters on PC are just like Skyrim Special Edition, where they know that people have been modding the original for decades, for the last decade, and like they made it look way better. And so Special Edition on its surface doesn't really offer anything other than improved performance. So if you already had the original version and all the DLC, you just got it plopped in your Steam account for free.
Yeah, someone mentioned the BioShock remasters in chat, and the BioShock 1 and 2 remasters aren't super great, but hey, I didn't have to spend money on them, so like big thumbs up. Thanks 2K. Like thanks Take-Two.
So we had Jump Beat Shoots being like, by that description, it's not because it's a remaster, it's because it's badly made. Yeah, no, the Warcraft 3 Reforged I think has the lowest user score ever on Metacritic. Right now.
Yeah.
Like it's really it's so bad that instead of manually offering for contact us and we'll give you a refund. Blizzard has set up a support page where you can just be like, I bought this game, click refunded.
Actually, wait.
That is amazing.
Before we end this discussion about Warcraft 3 refucked, I gotta double check something real quick, because I do know that despite the fact that Blizzard's been yeeting off these games off of Battle.net, I think they've been putting them on GOG. Oh no, it's only Warcraft 1 and 2. Never mind.
Wow. Yeah,
Warcraft 3 just doesn't exist anymore.
I don't see Activision putting out a competing version when they have this new game that you can buy.
Hey, I know everyone hates like Bethesda, but honestly, like, big thumbs up to them for like still not yeeting the original PC versions of all the franchises they own.
Yeah.
Like honestly, yeah, sucks that the new Doom releases on Bethesda.net and Switch are have censors.
Yeah.
But hey, the original ROMs are up on the original WADs are up on GOG. So
yeah,
thank you. Same thing with all the old Elder Scrolls and
it
Fallout
seemed
and
like
everything.
they were being pieces of shit when they released the new Doom versions, and the Doom releases from the 360 got pulled off of the Xbox Live Store, but apparently that was actually a mistake.
Yeah, you can thank Nerve for originally fucking those.
So guys, but here's the thing: in 2017, somebody brought this up. Blizzard, when they made the StarCraft remaster, started offering the original StarCraft for free.
Yeah,
and you can still get that. It's still there. The link is still there.
Yeah, no one gets it either. It's really weird. well, also, I mean, I've the theory is that they're doing it so they can not have another Dota 2 happen, where I don't know if any of you remember this.
But Dota was a Warcraft 3 mod.
Yeah, Dota was a Warcraft 3 mod, and then Valve did the Valve thing where they were like, hey, that mod is pretty cool. We'll hire you guys, and you guys can make it into a real video game. And of course, anyone's gonna go, yeah, I'll do that. And then apparently Blizzard went on this big tizzy because they were like, no, because somehow the idea of oh, it was a mod for Warcraft 3, which means technically Defense of the Ancients is ours, which is not how that works, and they lost that court case. But now they actually added a little exception to Warcraft 3 Reforged, where they're like, yeah, if you make a mod, it's ours now, and we can just use it if we want.
Do you know what that reminds me of?
Which is so fucking weird.
I remember decades ago, and I am not now, nor have I ever been a Limp Bizkit fan. I think new metal is awful. If you like it, fine, whatever. But new metal, which is now old metal. But when what's his face? Wes Borland, I guess was the dude's name, the guitarist, quit. I remember that Limp Bizkit had open tryouts. We're gonna tour the country and people are gonna play guitar for us. And they had a thing that said, hey, any music that you you are only allowed to play original music so we can get your sense of style. Any music that you play for us, we own. And can use in upcoming albums if we so choose.
Limp
It's so
Bizkit's
weird because
classy.
I don't think any company has ever tried to aggressively monetize Bethesda, but paid but that was different. That was Bethesda trying to do a weird support the creators thing.
You can buy,
which they still, surprisingly enough, they still do. It's just not aggressive anymore.
Guys, I just want to point this out. Somebody said FIFA 20 on Switch may have gotten a lower user score. FIFA on Switch got a 1.0 user score on Metacritic from 596 ratings. Warcraft 3 Reforged, based off of 28,000 ratings, has a 0.5. 0.5 user rating.
I love how when you open up the FIFA page, it has a bunch there's just a bunch of 1s and 0 ratings from users, but at the top there's a 10 out of 10, and it says Andrew Wilson and the boys have done it again. It's
So who made that review? Andrew Wilson or one of the boys?
Yeah. He also says they did another home run, but that's a baseball term, idiot. Stinky.
What's funny is it's the same thing on the Warcraft one, where there's one. This is an absolutely amazing nostalgia trip for me, and then 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.
They gotta have that weird algorithm going. Oh man. Video games. What have I been playing?
Yeah, what have you been playing, Colin?
What have I been playing?
We've been on introductions for nearly an hour now.
Oh my God.
That's fine.
What happens?
There's like no news this week. Like I don't know. Like there hasn't been anything
there's a few
involving
things.
Nintendo or Disney or anything. So whatever.
I saw Birds of Prey. You guys want to talk about Birds
Oh,
of Prey?
shut the fuck up. But
Maybe at the end. Go on, Colin. Go on, Colin.
I played a few games. I beat Call of Juarez Gunslinger for a second time in my life because I was like, oh, it's on Switch, and I wanted to play through it again. And that game is slick. I really like that game.
I also saw Pain and Glory, but nobody wants to talk about that. They just want to talk
definitely
about Harley
not.
Quinn.
But oh god, the Oscars are tonight. Oh god. But
Can't wait
Yeah,
to
no.
sleep through that.
yeah, really. But yeah, Gunslinger is a good game. It's like the best way I can describe Gunslinger is that like, remember Bulletstorm? Like imagine if that was good. That's
Oh, that's a
Call of
tall
Juarez
order.
Gunslinger.
That's a
Yeah.
tall order.
Cause like they're very similar. They're both like stop and pop, but very like arcadey shooters. But I think the difference is that Call of Juarez is way tighter in both in control and just like general shooting and like upgrade mechanics. Like there's like a higher ability to upgrade things. And you do really feel like you're becoming more and more of a badass. Also, that game is a new game plus, which I really appreciate. I don't know if I really have too much to say other than like it's $20. It's like 5 hours long, but it comes with like a new game plus and a bunch of other content. And the Switch version's pretty good. If you really want like a super comfy, like arcadey shooter, and I don't mean arcadey in the terms of like old school, but arcadey and like you're doing combos with guns, which is always really fun and wacky. Go do that. Other than that, I've been playing the Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, the VR game that I demoed at New York Comic Con, and yeah, it's still good. It's still fantastic. It's still basically a VR version of Zombie U, except polished.
I like
Like-
Zombie U.
I like Zombie U as well, but like that game could definitely use some polish. And the idea of like,
Yeah.
like, I like
In a
that
better
idea,
version.
that main gameplay loop of like having a survival horror game that's heavily focused on like all the stuff you have, and if you die, you have to go like fetch your stuff again. I like how that type of gameplay loop is being stuck to like a control gimmick, whether it be the second screen on the Wii U gamepad or VR. And I've been saying that like VR games have just like skyrocketed in just general quality over the years. Just every year it just seems like a new game, like a new batch of games come out, and they all feel in control and work a lot better than they did the year before. And Saints and Sinners is like, I think it's like the first VR game to actually try to have like a weight mechanic, to try to actually give weight to everything you do, which is really interesting because like, I mean, that's like a general problem with VR is that everything's kind of weightless because they want you to have one-to-one movement with your arms in real life. But I think they do a really cool way to kind of where like the game still shows where your arm is in real life with like a ghost arm kind of effect, but your in-game model arms kind of slump downwards if something's heavy. It's kind of cool. It feels really natural. And it just like feels really good. And I still need to sink more time into it. It was a little, I wouldn't say unoptimized at launch, but like it definitely could have ran a little bit better, but now it does. So I just got to sit down and play more of it. But it also is really hard. But there is a PSVR version coming soon, so Nan, fucking buy it when that happens.
Maybe if I've gone through my backlog by then, like the ones the backlog I actually care about.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I worry about with the PSVR version is how it's going to control, because that game uses locomotion to its full advantage, and the Move controllers just don't. But maybe
I'm
they'll
sure.
they'll figure something out.
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna figure something out on that. But yeah, we'll
Don't
get
worry,
to the
we're
Sora
gonna talk.
news when
We'll get to the Sora thing
fucking
eventually. We just have like
news.
real topics to talk about first. We have
Right,
real,
yeah.
actual like opinions and news to talk about.
Yeah, well, in fact, actually, look, shall we go on from what we've been playing to that topic?
Should we just?
No,
yeah,
no. I think we should talk about everything else except for that topic because these people don't deserve to hear it.
Ouch.
Not it.
Jeez.
I think we should talk about what did you think about the Super Bowl halftime show? I thought it was pretty great. I enjoyed Shakira. I thought she was better than J-Lo.
Oh, my favorite part of the Super Bowl was when they had nothing else to show, so they just started cutting away to random celebrities, and fucking Paul McCartney showed up for like 5 seconds.
He did a Super Bowl once.
Yeah, he was just chilling in the audience. He was talking to someone. They couldn't record him waving or anything. It was just him in the middle of a conversation with someone.
But I think the best reaction shot from anything ever was this year's Game Awards. Just the dude sleeping was mwah, perfect. Love it.
Right, well, let's.
Okay, Sora. Let's talk about Sora.
No, the Dingy Bell just
Yep.
asked: is LA Noir VR any good? Colin.
LA Noir VR, not necessarily. It is a VR game from 2016, and it sure feels like it, because that is from an era where they really didn't want to move the player in VR. So like it either cuts to third-person animations for moving, which is the worst thing ever, or you like wave your arms back and forth to mimic like you're running, which is and the driving controls are fucking awful. It's pretty okay. It's just like I wouldn't really recommend it. And I'm sure Jump Beat Shoot says Flashpoint. I'm sure you mean Firewall, because Flashpoint's like an old tactical PC shooter. But yes, Firewall's very good. Hey Nan, you should download Firewall 0 Hour. It's free.
Okay. Sure, if it's free, then.
Yeah, it's a free VR game. Like, go off, King. It's really good, actually. I really like that game.
Still Paints wants to know our opinions on the baby nut that was in the. I guess that was in the Super
Disgusting.
Bowl thing.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
disgusting.
Is this a weird baby trend? Mario Kart already did this years ago.
Yeah, here's the thing.
Let's move on.
I feel like if you watch The Mandalorian, Baby Yoda wasn't. I mean, it's an adorable merchandising opportunity. True, we all understand that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. But it was done from creatively. Like there's a reason for that to be in the show. It's not just like he's not Babu Frick. Like you get it. You understand? Like, oh, okay, this is like kind of one of the main characters and reasonings behind the show, and why the main character, goes on this journey of change. That's fine. And then they started showing other stuff, Baby Sonic, whatever. You get a flashback in that happens in these movies all the time. But you started seeing that, hey, people like baby stuff, and this baby peanut it's the worst thing. It is the worst. It is worse than people not being able to imagine apples. And that makes it pretty bad. It's just such like a terrible corporate mascot move, because it's not even like a rebranding. It's a rebranding based off of other things that have been popular. It's just, I hate it. I hate Baby Nuts so much.
Right, that's our 30 seconds of Baby Nuts. Let's actually move on to the first topic after what?
No, I'm just they weren't talking about Firewall 0 Hour, even though that is a good VR game that you should play. They're talking about the Flash Game Preservation Project. Hey, let me know when they preserve like an entire offline version of HomestarRunner.com. Then like that's all I want. I just want to be able to. It's .com. I just want a icon on my desktop that I can double click, and it's the entirety of HomestarRunner.com in like a little bubble that I can just play with whenever I want. That's like the real thing. I am not looking forward to with the death of Flash is HomestarRunner.com being killed off, because that is still probably the greatest thing the internet's ever created, like far and away.
I know that they have an official YouTube and Twitter and stuff, so a lot of that stuff's gotten there. But the games, yeah, like that Trogdor game, is one of the greatest homages to Atari era gaming I've ever seen. It's so good.
Before it goes away, just please just go to homestarrunner.com and just like don't use the HTML5 site. It fucking sucks. Just go to the Flash site and just mess around for like hours on end, or just like endlessly watch the videos on YouTube. I don't think there is anything that has aged as well as Homestar Runner. Like, I seriously do not think there's anything that's aged better. Like,
in
as
the
far
late
as
'90s and the early 2000s,
goes.
Homestar was so ubiquitous with like what making videos on the internet were, that I remember Newgrounds was just filled with people that hated Homestar Runner because they couldn't make things as good as Homestar Runner.
I actually talked to Tom Fulp of Newgrounds one time, because like I grew up watching all these different like Flash sites, and I actually asked him like, what was it like? What was the relationship like between all these different Flash sites? Like, was there like a rivalry? Like, did you guys like each other? Like, what was it? And he was basically like, oh well, like Newgrounds and Albino Black Sheep like hated each other like mad because they kept stealing our stuff. Homestar Runner was so popular, we didn't need to interact with them because it was just two guys in like a garage, and they just had an empire to themselves. So like they didn't need to really
crazy.
do anything.
Like, there were no ads on the site. There was no Patreon. It was just like they were completely supported by fans buying their crap, which I did. I bought the figurines, I bought the hoodie, I bought some shirts. Like,
I bought the DVDs, I bought the little Cheat Commandos, I bought the Telltale games.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It is good stuff. Yeah, the Telltale game, and that is still one of the best Telltale games.
It is good. It's really good.
The Telltale game is really good. Yeah.
And it's even better on the Switch because you have some weird motion like sections.
On the Wii?
On the Wii that are fun. Like, they're not like terrible like some motion.
I love the Telltale games so much. It's probably their best game, honestly. It's so like full of love.
Yeah, because it was you could like
the Brothers Chaps. I love them. I love them so much.
I love that every April Fool's you get a new. It feels like an event whenever there's something new on Homestar Runner.
I love how that's the one thing they're consistent with. They're still doing April Fool's stuff.
They have some sort of short show on one of the Disney channels, which is
it's okay. 2 More Eggs.
Yeah, there you go. It just doesn't capture the.
They worked on like. During their hiatus, they worked on like Yo Gabba Gabba and the Aquabats and Gravity Falls. Like they moved up. Like they did a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah, they're involved in all sorts of stuff. Anyways, that's our Homestar Runner.
All right.
We can mark right here. This is where we stop talking about. So we went from soulless capitalist mascot to talking about a different type of capitalism, which is the self-made hero archetype in the Brothers Chap. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Unfortunately, the system doesn't always reward those sort of individuals. So
right, let's actually get on schedule. An hour in.
All right, Sora.
All right, Sora. Let's talk about this stupid Sora stuff. So it's like,
guys, he's probably not going to be in Smash anyways. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's going to be in Smash anyway.
He could be.
I feel like the chances are very low. But this whole, let me explain the situation so that people actually know what the fuck it's about, because there seems to be a massive misunderstanding. Even I was a little confused about it until recently.
Yeah.
But basically, Imran Khan was on a podcast when he was asked a question of who he thinks is going to be in the next Fighter Pass, and he said he thinks it's either going to be Sora or Master Chief, and he's leaning more towards Sora, with his reasoning being that the only way he sees Sora not getting in would be if Disney Japan denied them access.
Yeah,
and he thinks that at some point in the past, Nintendo approached Disney and was denied anyway, I think it was, but this is all still part of his speculation. He hadn't confirmed that either way. So it's really just a journalist being like, yeah, I think Sora's gonna get in. I think he's the only reason he's not in already is because Disney have said no, but it might change. That's literally it. So it's not news. It's not.
No, it's not.
Sora
people...
hasn't been deconfirmed or confirmed.
Mhm.
Yeah, from what I hadn't actually listened to it for a while, and I was mostly joking before. I don't think Sora has an insane chance to get him, like he's a lock, but I think he's got a decent enough chance because it all comes down to how much Nintendo and Sakurai want it. If they think that it's something that will appeal to a large enough base and push sales of the pass, I think that they can work through the licensing. I do think the licensing is probably a pain because you're gonna have to deal with Disney, and to a degree you'll have to deal with Square Enix for certain assets and code and other things. So you're gonna have to go through two notoriously stingy companies to get it. But I do think, despite me saying that he's probably not in the game, I do think it's a possibility, and I think it would. Even though I personally, I'll say this right now, don't care one way or another for Sora. Not going to be mad if he gets in. Not really a fan of his either, though. I feel like he could easily get in, but it has nothing to do with what Imran said because people were taking a snippet of it and taking it kind of out of context. He wasn't saying
Taking it as fact.
But
yeah.
I mean, this is the thing, Matthew. You said when would Disney have turned them down if not for Fighter Pass 2? We don't even know if Disney did turn them down. That's just speculation from Imran's side. He thinks that he reckons the reason Sora's not in is because Disney has already turned them down once. But he reckons that Nintendo know how popular Sora is, so they'll keep trying. But he didn't confirm
Smash 4 DLC.
He didn't confirm at all that they even asked. It was all purely speculation from Imran's side.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is very clear if you actually listen to the full podcast. But people just took snippets out of context, and then Nintendo sites just started publishing, "Oh, Nintendo were turned down by Disney," and then later following it up with, "Oh, Sora's not deconfirmed yet."
It's like that thing that happened right before Fighter Pass 5, where there was an interview with Brian Hanford, the voice of V in Devil May Cry 5, and they took him saying Dante's gonna be in Smash out of context.
When all he was saying was, if any Devil May Cry character would be in, it would probably be Dante, not V.
Yeah.
Because people asked if V would be in Smash.
Yeah.
It's literally people taking snippets of stuff others have said, not giving any context, and then it getting spread around because other news sites are just seeing that snippet, not actually going to the source.
This blew up out of proportion because Smash players are incredibly impatient for information.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and they cannot wait. They just refuse to just wait a bit.
I'm not going to put the onus completely on the fans though, because I mean, there's first of all, that's our bread and butter. That's why we have a site mostly. Smash speculation is it's like an event. Like honestly, for people, it's almost as exciting, if not more so, in some cases, than the game. People enjoy talking about characters more than anything else, and after Byleth made it seem that all of those, which we knew, I mean, come on, the picks of the day and everything probably didn't mean anything, and that everything, the speculation scene just died. We don't know really anything about what's coming up or anything, so people just latched on to the first thing they heard about because it's been a little while, because it was such a long time since Terry to Byleth, and then now nothing. So these people have nothing to talk about. So it got picked up. It's a very
this is why we've been getting a bit annoyed with Smash leaks and rumors and stuff, because there haven't been any.
Yeah,
but people still seem to desperately want to think that there are some, and so are clinging to anything so they can talk about Smash leaks and rumors like they were doing before. But there hasn't been any Smash leaks or Smash rumors since Byleth came out, which is why this was. And I'm not going to blame Smash fans solely for this Sora stuff, because even though it started off with them someone in the community misunderstanding a scene and taking a snippet out of context, if it wasn't spread so far and wide by people out of context, rather than people actually looking at the source of things,
come in the chat,
then it would have been no. Don't come in the chat.
Do
and
it.
yell at him.
Do it.
No,
Don't.
ignore Spazzy. Don't do it. But if it wasn't taken so far out of context, then people wouldn't have been talking about it and blown it out of proportion as much as it ended up being. And that's on everyone's That's on the Smash fans' fault as much as it is the actual sites who reported on all this. With many sites reporting on like the same story twice.
Mm-hmm.
Baffling.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, I remember that.
I remember some really irresponsible journalism from a lot of people about the Devil May Cry 3 Switch announcements,
Oh,
where
no,
some people reported, some people changed the announcement to be, we have 3 Devil May Cry announcements coming in the next few days, and it's just like, no, it's for this one game on the Switch.
That really killed me because everyone was quoting a tweet that you could literally just scroll down a single pixel and it explained the entire context of why there was 3 dates.
Yep.
Like, it was so weird how many people were quote retweeting that and being like, the official Devil May Cry has 3 announcements to make. And it's like, yeah, about the Devil May Cry 3 Switch port.
Yeah.
Yeah, the funniest article about that is The Express, who did a article for the Smash Ultimate character thing, where the headline is literally, tune in here to see Dante revealed for Super Smash Brothers. That's literally the headline.
Oh my lord.
It's hilarious. I mean, it honestly is. I don't know. I think we should let Phantom in to say his piece because the chat seems to want it, and then we'll kick him out like right after. Phantom, do you want to
kick him from the server?
very shortly, succinctly? Want to come in and say whatever it is you want to say about Sora?
What does he have to say about? Is it about
I don't know.
this special thing, or just
Now
about
we gotta
Sora
wait
itself?
30
No,
seconds for him to hear that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true.
While wait, fine.
While
While
we're
waiting
waiting.
for him, I will. I mean, someone asked, could you take the Disney stuff out with Sora? I think you could, but I'd honestly feel like it'd be better with.
So I don't
Yeah,
see
he
the
is
point.
still owned by Disney. Yeah, I don't see the point either. I think if you're gonna have Sora and he's owned by Disney and Disney give him permission, at least have Donald and Goofy as part of like his final Smash or something. Like, you don't need to have a lot of Disney stuff, but you may as well keep the Mickey Mouse ears on the keychain and have Donald and Goofy in the party, because that's part of Kingdom Hearts. So it'd be really bad
Goku's next.
I just want the mainline Kingdom
No.
Hearts games on the Switch before we start putting them in fucking Smash Brothers, but that's just me.
I think that's going to happen eventually. I mean, Nomura was pretty open about saying we're going to wait for finishing all of Kingdom Hearts 3 before we consider reporting all the old games.
I hope the mobile game
something
comes
like
to
that.
Switch
Except
before
for
everything
Xbox,
else.
apparently, but okay.
Also getting Kingdom Hearts 3, and yeah, it's getting that stuff now, but I don't think, is it out or you can
The Xbox
collection
versions
or
come
whatever it's
out next week.
That's also when the DLC comes out on Xbox too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with the Xbox already getting Kingdom Hearts 3, it was probably pretty easy to do. With the Switch doesn't have it, but I would be shocked if the Switch didn't get all the previous Kingdom Hearts, even if they're sold separately on the eShop as opposed to being sold as a bundle.
The Capcom way.
Yeah.
Although I don't know how you do like recoded, the CGI movie of recoded.
Just
It's its
include
own
all
thing.
of the CGI parts of the collection in its own thing. You have to pay $20
Just
to watch
record it as like an
videos.
MP4 and just slap it in there.
Yeah, you have to pay $20
Make
to
it a
watch
video.
videos.
It's like when Nintendo released its short movies on the Wii U.
It'd be really
You had to
funny
pay
if
for
they
them.
did. It'd be really funny if they did what they did with Kingdom Hearts on the PS3, where it runs like internally at like 4K. It's like downsampled to 720p on the fucking Switch.
Didn't they do that for
Jesus.
Didn't
Okami?
they? Yeah, Okami ran
Yeah,
at 4K
yeah.
and it was downsampled.
So unnecessary.
It
Okay,
looks
I think-
clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Phantom missed his shot. We gave him a shot to come here and I guess defend Sora. I think, or maybe I never know with Phantom.
Defend
I'm like,
Sora. I think he did defend Sora because when we had that discussion about who we think would be Fighter 5, his choice was Sora. So
I'll say this. I think Sora is one of the biggest splashes you can make. And I think might be the biggest splash you can make internationally, because a lot of people say Master Chief, but really, does Japan care about Master Chief?
They have a very small, dedicated community.
Yeah,
Small.
exactly.
Not much of a market there.
And especially amongst, it's really funny, amongst Nintendo fans and Smash fans, they love Kingdom Hearts, even though it's not really a Nintendo franchise. But it's so popular with the fan base that, yeah, it would be very well received. Once again, I'm not a huge fan of Sora or Kingdom Hearts, but I would be like, I'd get it. I'm like, that's a great, I think it would be a great addition. And at the end of the day, I think it's possible, but whatever.
I said it on the I said it on the Fighter Pass 5 video. The Fighter Pass 2 video. I said it on the Fighter Pass 2 video, but Sora is one of those characters that people, from an outside perspective, look at and say, "Oh yeah, why isn't he in already?" But there's just so much like yellow tape around him that I don't see him being likely.
Yeah, I would say he's possible, but I don't consider him a front runner because.
Oh my god,
at the end of
Phantom's
the day,
coming in now.
Here's my thought. At the end of the day, there are so many other characters that would sell about as much as he would, or probably the same. I don't think he's going to push too many more passes. And if Nintendo's going to have to deal with a lot of red tape, maybe they just won't. But maybe they'll look at the numbers and crunch it and feel like, no, this character will help really push this pass. Then
I think after Byleth 2, a lot of people lost faith in the Fighters Pass.
Yes.
And are not buying the bundle now.
Do you know what's funny? I was kind of one of them, but then I I went to buy something else on the eShop and I saw it there. I'm like, fine.
I think a lot of people wait for the first fighter to come out before deciding whether they want to buy the Fighters Pass. I know that's what I did. I didn't actually buy it until Joker came out because I didn't see the point in buying it super early.
Joker's the one that made me not buy the Fighters Pass.
Yeah, I know. You had it, but I think you're an outlier in this situation.
I really disliked Joker as well. I was like, I didn't dislike Joker. That's a harsh term. But I was very meh on Joker. And then I'm like, well, maybe when he comes out, but I also don't like his playstyle.
I think Joker before Shin Megami Tensei in Smash is the thing that made me completely turn around on Persona in general. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. The homophobic, problematic stuff. Yeah, that was already bad. But Joker.
So when it's that realization that Persona's
Atlus now. That's it. Persona is Atlus. That's it. They have nothing else. Yeah. Nothing anymore. Catherine. No, it's a Persona game. They put Joker in it.
We'll talk about that after because we're going to be.
Well, wait. With that logic, later. That means that Tokyo Mirage Sessions is now a Persona game. Because
that's not Joker. That's a costume. That is a costume.
Sonic Forces is a Persona game because you can dress up your
Hello, gamers. I believe Spazzy asked me to come share my wisdom.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay. All right. You can do your Sora spiel, and then
I'm only gonna say like a few things. I disagree completely with the fact that Smash. They're not.
You've got 2 minutes.
Okay. Smash fans are not fully to blame for the news spreading, of course not. But they still are to blame for just feeding into it without checking the information, like any of us literally could have done easily. If you didn't, just go scroll down a little, or just read the article, or watch the video, just to figure out what was actually being said in context. That's kind of your own fault.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Well then.
Bye.
Hot take Phantom. That was good.
That wasn't even a hot take. That was very reasonable.
There's your tepid Phantom tepid take.
Tepid take Phantom.
All right, let's move off from this then and talk about the next topic, which is Granblue Fantasy Versus. So it's my time. This is my segment to chat because I got invited by Marvelous to go and play this game earlier this week, and I wasn't sure where to do it, whether I should do its own video or not, or here. But why not do it here? I can always cut this out and put it as its own video later if I want to get more attention to it. But Granblue Fantasy Versus is like the next Arc Systems fighter game. Based on the very popular gacha series Granblue, and I knew like basically nothing about this series or game. I played it very briefly at EGX, and I think the demo only had like 6 characters, and now the full version has 11. But it's I got to play it on Wednesday, and it's actually come out in Japan and Hong Kong, And the thing about the Hong Kong releases is that they're always in English anyway. So the full English version of the game is available to download. It's a Samurai Showdown situation again, where it's already there. You can get it, but we got to wait for the official release, I suppose, which I think is March in America. It's not got a European release date, but from my understanding, it's not going to be very long. It'll be at most like a week later. So yeah, Granblue was it's actually really fun. So I've been playing it a bit because my friend has the Hong Kong version, so I've been just adding to it. And despite me not knowing anything about the characters, I feel like this game is an amalgamation of a lot of the best aspects of a lot of different fighting games, with each character feeling like they've got a special gimmick that makes them somewhat unique. And like, so for example, taking stuff from different fighting games, the story mode, the RPG mode, is very much like Soul Calibur 2. If either any of you guys have played the story mode for that,
yeah.
You get to go around on a map, which you do on your ship, and you fly to the various places and do missions. And you start off with very basic equipment, and you can get new weapons that change up stats and make you stronger. You can swap obviously between characters, which you have to unlock throughout the RPG mode. But I think it's also pretty interesting that you get like fights against random soldiers. Like you basically have mob fights where enemies with lower health will appear, almost like a beat 'em up game, and you'll get to have loads and loads of fights against them in a 2D in like a typical 2D session before you then face off later on against an actual boss character who's another fighter in the game. And I really liked it. Arc System are known for having really long, drawn out, pointless stories. Like the Persona one, where you basically sit and watch 2 hours worth of cutscenes for one fight. Which is just fucking atrocious. This one was pretty into it, pretty snappy. It gives you a lot of missions, and I think I only got to do the tutorial part of the story, but I'm hoping that the later missions will actually let you give you sort of different objectives other than just beat down every enemy. Like, because it was the tutorial on it, I had to use specific moves and attacks to beat the enemies, to teach the game. And my understanding is the later ones are like mission based, so you'll get just horde of enemies coming at you until you've done the specific requirements to win the level, which actually just changes things up and lets it be skill based, which can then be transferred over into the multiplayer mode, which is 1v1 battles with stage transitions that I don't think affect the gameplay, but are still pretty cool to look at, and just a load of characters that are all very unique. So everyone has it has that simple. So this game's clearly made for beginners, right? So unlike, if it's not as easy as Dragon Ball FighterZ, but it does have the auto combo system from that game. But it's also got stuff like, if you ever played Street Fighter 4 3D, where you got the easy combos on the touchscreen that allow you to do easy Hadoukens and stuff that are weaker than the normal ones. This game essentially has that with the R1 button, where if you press the R1 button, you get to pull up R1 button and a direction, like almost like a Smash Brothers special, right? You do that, then you easily pull off one of the special attacks, which can be anything from a projectile weapon to an anti-air to a counter. Like, you can just do that with the special button and a direction, and then, or just pull it off like a normal combo for a stronger version. And then there's also like EX versions, which are taken from King of Fighters, where you can pull off even better versions of the attacks that you've got. And it's got the super attacks where you got a default one and then an ultra one, which is also like King of Fighters, because it's also, when it goes down to really low health, you can then pull off an even stronger attack. So it's like this cool amalgamation of loads of different fighting games, and I really like it. Like, I've been playing some Arc System games for a while. I've been playing BlazBlue, and that was okay. I like Dragon Ball FighterZ, but the online netcode for that was actually dog shit. So I stopped playing. But Granblue might be one I actually get into properly. I'm still not a fan of Arc System's DLC practices, where the roster, I don't know, where the rosters are like super small, but they announced like 10 DLC, like basically double the size of the roster all as DLC before the game's even out. It still like bugs me a lot. But at least with a smaller cast, everything feels a bit more polished. So here's the thing with Dragon Ball FighterZ, right? If you set up certain characters against each other, they have unique dialogue options.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool for the ones that have it, but otherwise they have generic ones. But in Granblue, every character has a unique dialogue option with every other character.
Oh, that's cool.
But both beginning and ending ones, and some of the ending ones are even more unique. With I don't know if it's specifically something that Loane gets, but Loane's kind of like the joke character in this game. His whole sort of gimmick is that when he wins the fight, it fades out and you see him sitting in a bar, and you find out the whole fight has just been him describing to his mates a fight that he claims to have had. And then because of that, allows him to get away with doing complete nonsense during his thing. Like his Ultra summons this gigantic, like pink-haired goddess who is broken as fuck and obliterates everything. Like you can turn the floor into lava and then drop lightning bolts from the sky at like the same time, so that it cannot be avoided, and it lasts for ages. So he's really funny. But I had stuff like I was fighting against him using Zeta, who's probably my favorite character in the game. She's like a spear user, and she can do the DuckTales pogo stick sort of attack on other characters, which is always pretty fun. But I was against Loane with this, and I pulled off my super, and he blocked it last second. So he managed to block the super and then took me down. But then Loane's ending dialogue has him talking about this with his friends, and his friends being like, "Is that really what happened, though? I mean, she didn't even. She tried to pull off her super and it completely failed." And it's like, "Yeah, I feel like she would have definitely hit you with that." And he's like, "Well, I guess the only way to find out is for a rematch." And then it comes up with the option to do a rematch or not. And me and my friend were sitting there like, "Did the game actually know that?" This happened. The game realized I fucking flopped doing the super attack and is like taunting me for failing that now.
That's pretty good.
Really impressed with the the back what's the right word? The back and forth dialogue that every character has with each other.
Arc System is usually good with their attention to detail. Yeah. I think it's one of the benefits of having a smaller roster. I think a lot of people are, including myself, are just used to fighting games having at least 20 characters. So going down to one with 11 makes me feel like it's being cut down when it really isn't.
Yeah, I mean, back in the 90s, that was what you got, And for when you're creating a brand new series, it kind of makes sense from a balance and gameplay perspective to start out smaller. But yeah, we're just not used to it.
Yeah.
The game has some sort of giant wrestler man that's actually a girl, which is kind of
Ladiva. Ladiva's like the one character I'm not good with in this game. She's the Zangief archetype.
Yeah.
So she's the only character without a projectile or ranged attacks, but does like proper wrestling moves. Like the super has her throw characters into. She grabs a character, throws them to the side, then it does an Incineroar. It basically cuts into a wrestling ring where they bounce off the rails, get grabbed. And actually, if you defeat them, so if you get their health down to 0 with this attack, they do a 3-pin. And the ref comes out of nowhere, goes 1, 2, 3, you're out. And that's how you lose.
I watched a lot of gameplay of the game, and like I said, I gravitated towards that character because she looked hilarious. Like just all of the it's so out of place, like in this like medieval steampunk fantasy style world. We just have like a wrestler with like a ref wearing a regular ref's outfit and stuff, and it's just
I really wanted to like her, but I just could not do it. Like I'm always much better with faster ranged characters in
grapplers
games.
Are usually harder to pull off.
So I'm not great with grapplers. But I think it's Zeta is the best character I've got at the moment with the spear. I'm also good with, I think her name is Charlotta, the one with the whip. I'm terrible with Catalina. I don't like Catalina. So every character has like a special move that they do.
Yeah.
They got a special button. That's different from the special attacks I was saying. Every character's got let's call it a gimmick button. And Catalina's gimmick is basically a parry, where she makes a shield that appears in front of her and can reflect any attacks. It's a reflector parry, kind of like Palutena's side B. But like, I don't like it. I think it's crap. I'm not a fan, which is a shame.
Yeah,
because she's like one of the most popular characters.
Yeah, and what's funny is that remember that weird Catalina for Smash rumor that was going out around. Like...
Well, that's how I know this series. The only reason I knew Granblue was a thing was because of that rumor.
But after actually seeing a lot of her gameplay, like I said, I haven't played this game at all, but I've watched a lot of the trailers and just people playing the game. I'm like, yeah, she would be okay for Smash. We need more ice characters and ladies.
The only reason I know of Granblue is because of the former Platinum Games project. I don't know what happened to that.
Game.
Yeah.
Charlotta is the cute one. Okay, that's what I said.
Oh, Charlotte. Okay, Charlotte is the little girl. She's got funny intro and entrance things, but I heard she's like possibly one of the low tier characters in this game.
Yeah, because you said that name, and I'm like, oh, that one. And I'm like, oh, it must be the one with the whip. I didn't actually play it.
No, all right, Ferry's the one with the whip. I've got like the name of the characters up on one side, and then the Japanese CSS on the other, so I can remember what they look like.
Got it.
Try and pair them up. Yeah, no, I wasn't great. I'm not a fan of Charlotta either. But also, Ferry, I like. I'm not good with Metara, but I might not know how to play her properly because my friend was really good with.
I know nothing about Granblue, like at all, even a little bit. But like, there's one background that looks just like Gower Plains, right? Am I right?
Yeah, it's like so. This is what I've just started watching the anime for Granblue so that I know what's the context is behind this. Like, apparently it's on Netflix. Well, no, I don't say apparently. It is on Netflix. That's how I've been watching it. But it's like it's a very generic RPG so far in a sort of Final Fantasy 12 way.
Got it.
It's very much like a bunch of islands floating in the sky. It's
There's
somewhat steampunkish. There are airships in it that people use to fly about. The story starts off with a girl called Lyria who's got blue hair being like sort of rescued by Catalina, getting separated. Gran finds her in the forest, and then Gran gets killed, and the two sort of she gives her life force to Gran so that the two can basically live together. So Gran can live, but they have to live together because if they get too far apart, they'll both get weaker.
Got it.
And so now Gran is forced to help protect her, and there are dragons in it. Like each island has like a guardian dragon. That's basically like I was watching it and I was like, this is the first episode is just the beginning of an RPG. I could see this being like if this was actually released as an RPG game first and not a gacha game, this series would be much more popular worldwide. Which apparently they are making a traditional RPG for Granblue. That's the next project after the fighting game.
I mean, it's interesting.
They were making
like
an action RPG, but it's kind
backwards.
of in development hell.
Like they started with the gacha game to get the characters popular. Now they're making real stuff out of it.
That's the thing, Matthew. I had the same thing. I used to confuse Granblue and Fate all the time.
Me too. Actually, yeah.
Fate was a visual novel porn game that became popular because it got gacha, and Granblue was always a gacha game.
Yeah,
it's just.
I like the character
it's like
designs,
the quintessential gacha game. Yeah, I think the artwork and the character designs are a bit iffy on Gran. See, I didn't even know Gran was a character until Fighters, but until the fighting game. But he's the main character. But he's literally like brown-haired, wears blue hoodie with bits of armor across him.
He's the main character.
Literally it. Yeah, Gran's the main character.
Oh, I was under the impression Catalina was because of the Smash rumor, and also the action RPG has her as the main character.
Which Catalina's like there, she's the powerful lieutenant, but Gran is the self-insert main character.
Yeah. Hello, I'll be your JRPG protagonist today. How are you doing?
Yeah, basically. He protects the blue-haired girl, which is why I'm convinced the series is called Granblue.
Probably.
Okay. And then they have the quote-unquote cute animal mascot that's just there that is yet to have been explained. But I'm enjoying Granblue Fantasy Versus. I think it's going to be probably one of the better fighting games out there. Like, I know there are too many fighting games in the market. They're constantly like trying to push each other out. But I could see Granblue Fantasy Versus potentially taking out one of the other two Arc Systems fighters that people play at the moment.
Yeah.
Whether that be Dragon Ball or Cross Tag Battle. The only way I feel like it wouldn't happen is purely from a new IP perspective, in the sense that this is people are familiar already with the characters from Dragon Ball, and people are already familiar with the Cross Tag Battle characters because it's a mixture of Persona, BlazBlue, etc.
But
Whereas
Dragon
this
Ball
is going to
Fighters
be
is getting
the fighting
a new,
game. Yeah, it's getting a new
that's
season.
completely redoing the a lot of the gameplay mechanics as well, right? It's going to be like a big overhaul, from my understanding.
I haven't looked at it fully in detail. I know that they've changed up like the way the CSS looks, and they've changed up a few things, but I haven't looked at it.
I feel like if
fully yet.
Granblue Fantasy Versus gets the response that will keep it in the mainstream, and the support that will keep it updated and constantly in the consumer's mind, like it'll actually it might just like stay alongside the other two.
I always think it's odd how 3D fighters completely fell off like the zeitgeist at some point.
That's
Tekken's
because
the only one that.
Yeah.
Tekken and Soul Calibur were the only two that sort of kept it going.
it
Yeah,
seems
there's
like
no
Namco
DOA,
and
no Virtual Fighter.
it seems like Namco and Arc System are the only two companies that actually put effort and budget into their new 3D fighting games.
Nether, yeah, like
No, let me-
everything's 2D. You're right.
Just to finish off my section on Granblue, just so I can make sure it's all concisely together, is that I think this game is a better game than both Dragon Ball Fighters and Cross Tag Battle, and even BlazBlue. I've had more fun with this than others, and I think it being an amalgamation of various fighting games, including Smash Brothers, it's got spot dodging, which is like not been in any other 2D fighter as far as I'm aware. Like, me and my friends were trying to think of one. If you know one in the comments or the chat, then tell me. But spot dodging is super fun to pull off in this game, I think. And then you've also got the sort of special button four directions mechanic, like in Smash Brothers. It's clearly taking ideas from that I think really help to make it more accessible than other 2D fighting games, while also being just a lot more skill based than I feel like Dragon Ball Fighters and BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle War. So
I mean,
there's a lot-
Fatal Fury had kind of those sort of dodge mechanics. Back in the
Well, Fatal Fury was like 2 lanes.
yeah, that's true.
sort of
It's not
thing.
exactly the same.
2D
Yeah,
fighter, but it
by
uses
the way-
3D models, like the Arc
Yeah.
Systems way.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, having seen once again going back, we're primarily a Smash channel. Going back to that rumor with Catalina, I would be, after seeing all this, like, she'd be cool, whatever. Like, I think she has stuff. I'd be so upset if Gran actually got in though. I feel like that is a
I mean,
boring ass character.
I need to learn more about the series for how it works. I know Gran has Gran's got the funniest tripping, not tripping, but making other people trip animation. So a lot of characters have a down standard attack that can cause people to trip up, and Gran like kind of break dances and kicks people and makes them fall over, which is just really funny to me. But him and Lyria have a mechanic where they can basically just summon dragons to fight, which is pretty cool.
Spazzy, were you talking about 3D as in you can move back and forth in like a 3D plane? 3D fighters?
Yeah, I was talking about
okay,
actual 3D
okay.
movement, like your
yeah.
your Tekkens and your DOAs.
Okay.
Tekkens and Soul Calibur. And
Yeah,
that DOA, yeah.
Yeah, it was because in the mid '90s to all the way to the early 2000s, it kind of like having been a survivor of the console wars. 3D fighters completely killed 2D fighters until Street Fighter 4, really, and there was like this renaissance of 2D fighters again.
Yeah.
Nobody made 2D fighters, but now there's so many 2D fighters and there's like no 3D fighters, and it just
Well, it was that jump to 3D. It's like how a lot of 2D platformers became 3D platformers.
well, yeah, of course.
Until
Yeah.
New Super Mario Bros.
But they
came
still
back and
make
showed
3D
they were
games.
popular.
Yeah,
They don't
the
make
thing
3D
about
fighters.
a lot of 3D fighters is that most of those are still around. They just don't see the same mainstream success. Like Dead or Alive is still around. It got a new game last year.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about it.
No, not even a little bit. Virtua Fighter though was, in my opinion, the best of that lot, and they really need a new game.
Virtua Fighter has
Virtua Fighter had a new game fairly. I
Um,
mean, maybe it was Xbox 360 if you want to count that as
Yeah.
fairly recently.
It's not that recent.
Virtua Fighter has kind of merged into Dead or
2012.
Alive, actually.
Yeah,
Because
well, they
like
take a
Dead
couple
or
of
Alive
characters.
5, Dead or Alive 5 had like 6 Virtua Fighter characters.
Yeah. Because every DOA keeps adding more,
Yeah.
and also Mai from King of Fighters.
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
Mai
She's
Shiranui.
been
They have
in a couple
they have
games now.
they have Kula Diamond now.
Yeah.
There's still some 3D fighters. Just some of them suck. Like
We need is
Yeah.
Dissidia's like an arena fighter game.
Ooh.
But we
Yeah, I think
got like
A
both.
bit
But I think arena fighters are different than 3D fighters.
same, like because that's like
But we got
those
both,
are dominated by the
like,
anime market with Dragon Ball and the My Hero game, and I guess the One
Everyone's
Punch
favorite
Man game
games.
coming out is actually a 3D fighting
Well, I
game.
mean, we did get like new Tekken and Soul Cal recently.
Yeah.
There is
Soul Cal had a big break before that game.
Yeah.
And Namco's
it
the
seems
big
like-
one keeping 3D fighters going.
It seems like a lot of 3D fighters and arena fighters right now are just like licensed properties, like the fucking Kill la Kill game.
Yeah, most arena fighters tend to be actual
Yeah.
anime-based
Yeah.
fighting games, not ones that just look like they're anime.
Most anime-based fighting games are arena fighters too.
Dragon Ball Fighters is like the Dragon Ball Fighters was an exception, and the DS One Piece games, because they're Smash Brothers style fighters,
Uh huh.
are exceptions, and they're really good. Like the One Piece Gigant Battle 2 is like almost as good. In fact, might be better than Jump Ultimate Stars.
I know
Which
people
is-
like the original Dissidia a lot, but they hate the new one. The
I-
one that was on
I- I-
PSP.
Yeah, I played the PSP one's the only one I've played. They made an arcade version of Dissidia, and I think that's the one that keeps getting updates.
Yeah, that's the one that is on modern consoles.
But oh well.
All
So that
right,
was my
so-
that was my Granblue thing. People should buy it. It'll probably be a fighting game I actually get into, which is super rare. So
I mean, hey man, if you want to play it on stream, I will play against you. I'll buy it. I'm down. Everything except for Contra. We're never gonna actually play Contra.
Okay.
Next week, guys. Well, maybe not next week. It's Valentine's Day weekend.
So
We'll
all
see.
right, next topic. There are two things I've got on this. Let's talk about the Atlus. 'Cause that was on the initial thing. So there was this Atlus survey, I believe it was.
It was an Atlus consumer interest survey, I believe.
But yeah, do you want to take this one, Shadow Link?
So I partook in it. I committed the source gaming sin of running it through Google Translate to understand it. I still didn't understand a lot of it, but there were a lot of options available. They were asking what kind of systems you have or you are planning to get. PlayStation 5 was on there. Nintendo Switch is on there, and depending on what you picked, it would ask you what kind of games you wanted to see on those systems from Atlus. Some stuff that was included was the what's the company that makes Dragon's Crown? Vanillaware? Vanillaware.
Vanillaware.
Yeah, so there was some Vanillaware stuff, and then the 3 Atlus IPs that they currently have, which are Persona, Shin Megami Tensei, which they have included every single Megami Tensei spin-off except for Persona under that label now. And they included Etrian Odyssey, which is a surprise to me because it got taken off their most recent financial report. But that's still alive, so it was on the survey. It was asking if people wanted more So that's cool. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Oh my god, what the hell? Thanks, YouTube. So there might be some hiccups. Sorry about that. There's nothing wrong on OBS on my side. It's YouTube. It's YouTube.
What's YouTube doing?
YouTube is saying that there's an error. There's a problem with the stream.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
Etrian Odyssey was on there. They're asking what kind of ports and remakes you wanted. Every single Shin Megami Tensei game, including the spin-offs, from Nocturne onwards, was... What the fuck? Spazzy, are you playing Smash?
Okay, well, anyway.
So every single Shin Megami Tensei game from Nocturne onwards was on that survey, for remasters and ports, and every single Persona
I was
game.
Muted before. I was not.
Every single Persona game was also on there for remakes and ports. You know, except for Persona 5, that didn't have a remake option because Persona 5 Royal already happened. So that was interesting to see. They included Persona 1, 2, and I believe they threw both Persona 2 games under the same label. But yeah, that was very interesting to see because Atlus doesn't usually talk about Persona 1 and 2.
Maybe this is where their comeback will be.
They didn't even include Shin Megami Tensei 1 and 2 either, so that's
Payne's
neat.
mentioned, doesn't Sony have an exclusivity deal with Persona?
It's
They
unknown.
do not.
It's unknown. We have no confirmation if they do or do not, but mainline Persona seems to stay on there. Maybe they will bring Persona 1 and 2, the games nobody except for hardcore fans, in which I'm under that label, cares about.
I just wish they would all they need to do is port the PSP versions and I'd be fine.
They need to they need to localize the PSP version of Persona 2 2.
Yeah.
Eternal Punishment. The fan translation for that has been in development for the last decade. It's still being worked on. It's interesting. Persona Q was on there as well. And there was Dragon's Crown interest, and I believe the other Vanillaware games too.
I think it's just weird to see them running a survey for ports. And not just doing whatever unprovoked.
The reason that they do these surveys is because they may have those projects in development right now. They may be considering them right now, but they need enough consumer interest to actually put them into full development. Because with their 2017 survey, after that, they registered a whole lot of trademarks for websites, including a bunch of Persona 5 spin-offs, which there was a lot of interest for. And I believe that survey is the reason that we have Persona 5 Scramble now.
Speaking of surveys,
yes.
Do we want to talk about how Sony was all but maybe you guys want to do remote play on the Switch?
I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm up for that.
I'm up for that.
I think that was a very interesting thing for them to put on their survey. Was all what if we did remote play on the Switch? Because that means that there's at least been some talks on some level about it, even if it's just very cursory, somebody in marketing.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of those things where, I mean, it's weird because it's I don't know how they expect to make money off that, other than maybe the idea that maybe Switch owners will buy a PS4 so they have a console that can play the
yeah,
video
it
games
makes-
the Switch can't run, but they can still have that
It makes
portability
sense.
factor. Yeah, I mean, like, of course the easiest comparison to make is with the Vita, which
Yes.
yeah, which eventually, I think once the PS4 came out, that was basically their angle, is that they really wanted to turn the Vita into like almost like a Wii U gamepad for the PS4, because
Well,
they
it lets
weren't
them
bothering to put
leverage-
games on it.
It lets them leverage PS4 as a somewhat portable entity. Not really, obviously. You need an internet connection in order to stream it.
Yeah,
But, I think it's actually useful for both companies, because I think maybe you have some Nintendo fans that are looking to get a new console, and they're all like, well, I already have a Switch. If I get a Sony console, I'll be able to do remote play on it. So that's another advantage of it. And I think the other way, too, you have Nintendo fans and Sony fans that would get a lot out of it. I think it's smart.
I mean,
Sony doesn't plan on ever doing another portable, which I don't think they do.
no, they are definitely not. I mean,
That is very
they've
smart.
been bringing remote play
To everything.
to everything. Yeah, like it recently came on to like iOS and Android, and now with Xbox doing the xCloud stuff, like I wouldn't be surprised if they want to start pushing more, like basically doing what Valve is doing, where they have like, oh, that just you can stream your console from everywhere.
I mean, yeah, it'd be great. And if you go on vacation somewhere and you have a good internet connection, all you need to bring is your Switch, and you can play your entire library from
Which is
everything.
a big if, but yeah.
Well, listen, man, I go to a lot of Airbnbs that have better internet connections than I have
Okay,
at my house.
okay,
So
okay. Because I was thinking like hotels.
hotels, yeah, yeah, agreed.
Okay.
Back to the Atlus.
Airbnb, yeah, is a bit more likely.
Back to the Atlus stuff. I would
Yeah.
actually really like to see ports of the other series stuff get on
Okay.
the Switch, especially
They-
the older ones.
they were
Persona
asking
2
about
I'm
ports
very
for
interested
everything.
in. Yeah,
They were asking about ports for everything. Persona 2 is great. I love Persona 2. It's my favorite one.
a lot of people say it's like the best one.
It's
in
got the best
series.
story. It's got the best story. Absolutely.
Okay.
The gameplay is a bit dated, but it's not even dated. It's just like harder. It's less streamlined than Persona 3 afterwards, because Persona 3 just took Shin Megami Tensei's battle system and ran with it instead of doing its own thing.
Like, I'd like to see the ports of like older games like that are the kind of stuff I kind of want to
Yeah.
see get ported to Switch. Stuff that's not really readily available on
Yeah.
other platforms. Which is also why I want to see Xenosaga get ported one day.
I hope if they ever do another port of Persona 1, they include an option to use the original soundtrack.
Okay.
Because for the PSP version, they completely replaced the soundtrack with like Persona 3 style music that's really like upbeat and J-poppy, and that's a game about like existential drama and is everything real around me or not? And like you have that, and then you have like fucking J-pop playing over that. It's like, what the fuck?
Well, you know what gets
they-
me through
they
my
also-
existential dread.
They also like lowered the amount of songs by like almost half. So like even if you put the original soundtrack into the PSP version, there's a lot of songs that are just missing now. But yeah, it's those games don't get a lot of respect because they're not as approachable or simple as the newer Persona games. I'm trying my best not to be negative
Accessible.
about them.
The word you're looking for is accessible. They're not as accessible.
They're
to
not as
newcomers.
simple as the new Persona games. But
Yeah.
I think I love them. We were working on a Persona retrospective for this channel. Phantom pitched one, and he said, we're starting with Persona 3, and I joined staff, and I'm like, no. So
Yeah,
that's constantly in
You
development
got to
hell
start
right
at
now.
the beginning because I feel like it's important to show the progression of the series.
Honestly, you can pretty much trace a through line for Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne to Persona 3. Because Persona 3 has almost nothing in common with the earlier Persona games. They completely, like, replaced the gameplay, and they made it a simplified version of the Shin Megami Tensei battle system, and they added dating sim elements and life sim elements.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's all you really need.
That's all you need to sell. It's proven. Fire
That's
Emblem
it.
did it.
Fire Emblem
Persona
did
did it. That's all
People
you
just
need.
wanna
You know,
date.
people don't
That's
need
actually
like
why they delayed. That's why they delayed Metroid Prime 4.
people don't need like well-written stories or, you know, deep, interesting characters. If they're hot and you can bang them, that you sell a game. Buy the game.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
That's it.
speaking of really vapid bullshit, the Persona 5 Scramble demo was pretty good.
I need
Hey,
to play it still. I'm interested in it. Like,
It runs really good.
it's the best running Warriors game on the Switch.
Yeah, it looks and runs really good. Like I
It has the
I'm glad
same
to hear
kind
that.
of aliasing and poor image quality as Fire Emblem Three Houses, but it runs at a steady 30, and that's more important.
Yeah, I mean, like you can never like visually tell when there's like a small frame drop or something.
Yeah.
But goddamn, like it was. I think if they really wanted to, they could probably like include an option to dip the resolution slightly and have it run at least near 60 FPS. If they already have it running at like a perfectly stable 30 at what looks like might be like 900p 1080p. Maybe?
I think it's 720p, just a flat 720p.
I'll have to look. But yeah.
Tecmo Koei has done more work on the Switch than most other third parties.
Well,
They've really put a lot of work
they
in, man.
they make a lot of games.
They do.
They make a lot
Give
of
me Hyrule
Warriors
Warriors
games.
2.
Oh my God.
They make a lot of the
Um,
same game.
Has
and
anybody
Fire
seen Has anybody seen Warriors Orochi 4 on the Switch? That's like one of the
Yeah.
worst running games on the system. Ah.
I didn't even know that was on the Switch.
It's not good.
I don't
Not a
think they
good
gave
version.
it even like a big like
No, they-
physical
they-
release.
they
They just
just
dropped it on the
released it.
eShop one day and
I was
Yeah, like last
completely unaware.
January, I think.
Yeah.
I remember it when it came out. But yeah, right. Because I forgot, it wasn't on our original schedule, but it is something that happened this week. I think the Wonderful 101 Kickstarter.
Oh yeah, Wonderful
yeah,
101.
they backed it.
Because it happened like right at the beginning of the week,
Yeah.
and then I went away. At least I completely forgot it was this week. But yeah, cool. Platinum Games.
Did you see Cisco
got
wants
a
to
shit ton
a
of
cameo
money.
in it? Like
What?
like
In
like
what?
Thong Song
What?
Cisco? Yeah, no, he backed it and he wants. Yeah, like I thought it was a hard drive article, but no, it's like legit.
What are you talking
Cisco,
about, dude?
The dude that did the Thong Song, Cisco, is one
Yeah.
of the backers, and he's trying to get Platinum to give him a cameo as I guess Wonder Thong or whatever. I don't know. Wonder Cisco.
Why did this come from? Who?
What
What,
the fuck?
what the fuck?
It's a thing.
Yeah, we could. I didn't even. I literally just said Wonderful 101 is got on Kickstarter, and you're like, yeah, the thong guy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Segue at least.
No, but no, it is for the Wonderful 101 Kickstarter.
that, but like, it just kind of came out of nowhere. I was so confused.
Just
But,
look up
anyway.
Cisco Wonderful 101. And you'll see
Anyway.
articles.
I was real happy Reno to see it. I was like, ooh, a physical copy only costs like $10 more than the actual game, not even. So I was like,
it's been a
banging.
long time coming. I kind of don't. I've got so many games to play, and I did enjoy the Wonderful 101. At least the second half. I think the first half's a little dull, but
Yeah.
like, I think it's a good game. I'm glad more people are gonna get to play it now because it does feel like the only two reasons that game really flopped was because it was an early Wii U title, and the control scheme is a little bit like
And
you
the
have to get
demo
used to it.
sucked. It's because the demo sucked.
Yeah, the demo sucked as well.
I
But-
think it's just also a game that isn't very like advertisable. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
like
It's
you
a hard
can't
game
really,
to sell.
Yeah, it's people have this I mean, we already see it with like just general game releases where people are like, oh, this game's like cutesy and kitty, is it really worth $60? Like apparently a game having a not super realistic, super focused art style leads to like,
Hey.
I don't know if I want to spend money on this.
It's at the 1.5 million mark, so it got the 2D game stretch goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. Like, they had the Switch version was the initial one, and then they got up because I think the Switch version is actually like done.
I
Like-
think
I have that
that's
feeling too.
like that's like the most
Yeah.
obvious thing is like I think they even said recently like the Switch version was basically already done because a Wonderful 101 port was being both hinted at and rumored by some relatively high up there rumor boys for a while, but you know it does make sense, the idea that Nintendo is like, yeah, but is this gonna sell, you know?
I think it's because it seems that Platinum
Nintendo would have done it.
ported the game over, but Nintendo were just hesitant on going forward with the game.
Nintendo would have done it. There's some interviews saying Nintendo was fine. They just didn't want to bring it to more systems than the Switch because why would they?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
suppose. Yeah.
No, Nintendo said that. Like, I'll have to find the interview because a whole bunch of interviews went live once this Kickstarter happened. Apparently, a lot of people already knew about it because there were so many interviews. But they wanted to expand the audience, so they wanted to bring it to other platforms.
Okay.
Nintendo said, "We'll help you, but we'll help you bring it onto the Switch. We're not going to put it on PS4, but we still don't know the actual details about it. But apparently, they're like, hey, if you want to do it, that's fine, but you're going to have to do it yourself."
Yeah.
Okay, so that's because
Okay.
I knew about the if you want to do it yourself, you can do.
Yeah.
I guess my understanding of that was we don't mind, like we're not sure if the game will be publishable, but if you want to publish it yourself, you can do it. Otherwise, you do it when like we sort of say it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, if that's the case, like Nintendo were okay with that, but if they wanted to bring it to Steam and PS4, they'd have to do it themselves, but gave them the go-ahead. I mean, that kind of makes a bit more sense, I suppose,
I
for me
think
to
it's-
be.
I think
They
them
just
doing
need the
it,
money to do it.
I think the I don't know. I think them doing a Kickstarter to bring it back probably makes the most sense because Wonderful 101 really is like a super niche game.
My only fear with the Kickstarter one is whether or not, because a big problem with Kickstarter games is if your entire fan base backs the game, when it actually comes out, it doesn't sell at all because everyone who was actually cared about getting the game already bought
I
it.
wouldn't be
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if like that was if that was just like most of the reason was for the Kickstarter was just to like have like some sort of return on investment on like
Suppose, a
a Switch
guarantee.
version. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the rest
Apparently,
is just to even get the other versions kickstarted.
apparently, Dangan Entertainment is involved. I don't know how
Yeah,
the
they
extent
are
No,
involved.
of their
I don't think
involvement.
they are involved anymore. I think they were
Um,
at some point involved.
It
I
seems
think
to be
they're
confusing.
not.
They're involved
they
in
sent
some
out a
way or
PR
form, but-
email like a week ago about it, so they're probably still involved.
Well, the question was, I think, whether or not they're involved purely from the Kickstarter point of view, helping Platinum with the Kickstarter.
I want to
setting it up,
say, I
or
want to
whether they're
say,
actually publishing it, or
yeah, I want to say that it's possible that they're supplying the physical copies.
all that.
Yeah, but it's not known their amount of involvement with it. If they are only publishing the physical copies and they have nothing to do with the distribution of the game, I will probably buy that digital only so they don't get my money directly. But Dangan Entertainment. Oof.
I'm curious if it'll be different compared to the different platforms. Like, I wonder if Nintendo will just handle publishing on the Switch version.
I don't think they
No, I
will.
think they're publishing everywhere. I think that's part of the.
Yeah, Platinum self-published.
Yeah,
That's
I
awful.
need to find that because there's like I said a bunch of interviews. I need to find where they talk about how Nintendo would have done it because I know somebody We're Source Gaming. We need a source, but
Yeah.
I'll find it eventually.
Yeah, I think they've because Platinum have been wanting to self-publish games for ages. There was an interview recently where Platinum said they wish they could be self-publishing the Bayonetta series, but they just can't. But
Who's Dan-Gen Entertainment? I mean, they're like a game.
Dangen.
They're
They're a
they're-
Japanese indie.
They're
publisher.
there
Is it,
in
is it
the-
Dangen? I never
Yeah,
even knew.
Dangen. Yeah,
I had
it's
no idea.
pronounced- yeah,
They're in the
pronounced
same
Dangen.
boat as Nicholas, where they steal IPs from developers, and then they give them the cold shoulder.
Really? I
Yeah.
had really good dealings with them when it comes to game reviews and stuff. Like they were really helpful in promoting the review I did for Momodaru
Mhm.
game that I did. That's a good game.
They apparently stole the Devil Engine.
Yeah,
and-
Devil Engine's the infamous one.
Yes.
It seems to be really mixed and might depend on who you're working with at Dangan, but I don't want to be
Yeah.
sitting here spreading rumors about stuff that I haven't really followed up on. I just know
Yeah,
that
and our relationship with them, with the marketing branch at least, has always been really good. So
I've never actually had negative interactions with Dangan, but I know that there are people who see developers specifically who
right,
seem to
and we're
have.
not devs, so
Yeah, we're not devs, so. But I've just been not getting involved, following that. But I don't. I don't know what their involvement is here. Whether they're publishing it, just supplying the physical, or just helping out in the Kickstarter. It doesn't seem very clear. But I know some people are upset by their involvement at all. But
Yeah.
we'll just have to find out when closer to the game's release, because it will presumably know.
Yeah,
what
because there's
everyone's role
another
is by then.
another company listed, Nighthawk Interactive, and no one really knows what the hell they're doing.
So here's just a little tangential question. What do you guys think this means for other co-developed IP that Platinum has with Nintendo? I think nothing.
Probably not. Yeah, probably
Yeah,
not. much.
Nothing. Yeah, I think this is a exception because it's just they wanted to bring it to more platforms. I think Astral Chain sold well enough that it would probably just remain Nintendo, and Bayonetta's rights are so split apart from everything else
Yeah.
that it's going to be basically impossible to self-publish.
No, you're
that
thinking,
series.
Matthew. You're thinking of Night Dive. Not
What?
very
Oh,
similar
no, no.
names, but they're not.
Oh.
No, not you, Matthew. That Matthew. Yeah. No, Nighthawk did the Disney collection
Yeah.
recently, and they also did Forager and My Friend Pedro. Oh, and the Friday 13th game. They were all done by.
Man, that Friday the
Nighthawk.
13th game was kind of left out to die because of licensing stuff.
Yeah. I heard
Yeah.
a rumor that apparently they were actually free to develop more stuff for it, but they just chose not to. I don't know if I believe that or not, but like there's enough details about it that I'm like, well, someone couldn't have bullshitted this much, you know? Like there's a point where you're reading a wall of text and you're like, this might be true. Like there's a little too much here.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts. Wonderful 101. I don't know where that came from.
Also,
Still around the brand.
also weird with in regards to Switch ports recently, we got a date for the Switch port of the Outer Worlds,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
then like within the week, it got delayed
Yeah,
Because of
yes.
the coronavirus.
because of the coronavirus. Which, if you don't know, the company it's really weird because there was a bunch of people that were immediately like, "Oh, that sounds like a bullshit excuse," which is really fucked up to say.
It's a
Yeah,
a
it
lot
really
of things
is.
are being delayed because of that.
The main reason being that Virtuous, the company porting it, who's also ported like LA Noire and Dark Souls and a couple other things I forget, they were founded in China and they're based in Singapore. So they're kind of in like the epicenter of it right now.
Yeah.
So apparently they're totally fine. It's just that because
They had
of the
to shut their
virus-
offices.
Yeah, like every business is closed ever.
Yes.
So there's just a month, assumingly, where they just aren't able to do anything. But the nice thing is that, I mean, it's probably going to be pushed not too long, like April or May, because it was supposed to come out March 6th. And
Yeah.
on top of that, we're getting we're getting a little cartridge. Now we're getting like an actual physical release for it, which it's so weird because I was like earlier this week, I'm like, wow, I can't wait to talk about how the Outer Worlds getting a digital only release isn't the worst thing on the planet, but like it still kind of sucks. But now it's like, oh well, problem solved.
Yeah.
So
what's
neat.
funny is, yeah, it's releasing at a time period now where maybe I'll get it.
Oh yeah, 'cause it's not releasing in March.
Yeah,
It's
no,
not releasing in the same month
people
as
complaining
2 other
about
games.
any delays right now are idiots. Sorry, guys, you are idiots. There's so much coming out in the next 2 months. I want everything and like not that much for the latter half of this year. So
I don't understand complaining about delays unless it's like a Duke Nukem Forever type situation where the game is delayed for like a whole decade. But like a slight delay almost always ends up with a better product at the end. So
yeah, especially in this situation where people were so heavily reliant on like no cartridge, no buy. Like this is probably the best move.
Yeah.
Putting it on a cartridge is really helpful.
I'm really
I'm
curious.
hoping that game runs really well because
I think it will. It's just
It's
just
Unreal
a
Engine
UE
4
game.
Yeah. The
Yeah, I
game
think the
already
latter-
doesn't look very good, so it won't it probably won't take a hit on anything except for like the skyboxes on the Switch port.
It's really funny because some people are like, "Wow, that's a like." There was some leaked screenshots from the eShop, and some people are like, "Wow, that's a massive downgrade." And I'm like, "That just looks like the Outer Worlds."
The Outer Worlds is not a
It's
very
not a
high.
very
It's
pretty
it's not a very high budget game. So
Yeah.
don't go into it expecting like AAA graphics.
Yeah. I
So-
mean, expect AAA PS2 graphics though. Like,
I'd say PS3, but yeah.
yeah. You know, sometimes I forget that entire gen existed. You know, last gen.
I'm
Yeah,
just,
jump from PS2 to PS4.
I'm down with
Never-
it. I can't wait.
Yeah,
That and, like,
I think
Metro
the
Redux.
second half of this year is going to be interesting because it's like a lot of it's just going to focus on the next gen systems, your
Mhm.
Yeah.
PS5s and your Xbox Series X's, and of course your Intellivision
Well,
and Amigos.
The funny thing is that Ubisoft announced that they should have 3 AAA games, like of all the 5 AAA games that
Yeah.
are in their weird little in development but taking forever. It's one of those things where they said 3 of them were coming out at the end of this year, and then 2 are coming out early next year. And they all said, very interestingly, and I sort of predicted this, they're all getting like PS4, Xbox One releases, and then just getting like HD patches for the next gen systems. They're not making PS5 Series
HD
X
patches.
versions. Yeah, which I can't believe we're still calling them HD patches. But yeah, like that's which makes sense. I it's not like a situation like early this gen where 360 and PS3 and PS4 and Xbox One versions had to be separate because the hardware was so different. But the architecture is supposed to be so close. I would not be surprised if companies just released like a game that just had a generic PlayStation or Xbox logo on it, and then you just plop the disc into the PS4 or 5 or the Xbox One or Series X, and it just works anyway.
Honestly, that would be the best option, I think.
Yeah.
Giving that choice and allowing it to work on any system. I think that's kind of what Xbox wants to do with its Series X.
Well, yeah, that's
stuff.
they did that as much last year with the whole forward compatible stuff. But yeah, with PlayStation stuff, I can't see it. I can't see there being like Cyberpunk 2077 in like different boxes for 2 different consoles and it not be just the same disc.
Yeah. So we got anything else that we want to talk about on this episode, or we all
Just
good to
more
start wrapping up?
Sora. This new guy wants us to talk about Sora again.
Oh
No. No.
Sora's not happening. There you go.
No, it could happen. But like I said, my TLDR is the new rumor doesn't mean anything. Sora is possible, but not, incredibly likely. Would be a good addition to make the fan base happy. Done. I don't know why we wasted so much time on it before. That was it. Yeah, man. I guess that's it. There's not much more going
Okay.
on.
Hopefully there'll be a Nintendo Direct this week, and Actually, maybe that's not a good thing because next
If
week,
not,
at
we'll have
least
to
for
talk
me,
about
it's going to be busy.
Me too.
And what
Me
about the
too.
Sonic movie? Sonic movie comes out this week, right?
Oh yeah, the Sonic movie.
We kind of
I
have
will
to talk
either
about
be
that
seeing
one.
that on. I will either be seeing that on Friday, or I will be seeing it. I guess the
will,
week after. It depends what my plans are.
I will resend you Turl's HD.png because I'm probably not going to be seeing that movie.
Okay.
So you have it.
Yeah, I have that AMC Premiere Pass, so I just started using it, so I'm watching all of the movies. I've watched.
Oh yeah,
I've watched 10 movies in the last.
I
Animal
forgot
Crossing?
Nintendo was
Animal
going to
Crossing.
screw over people with Animal Crossing
So-
saves, and
so-
then
The
They
thing about Animal
said they
Crossing, the thing about Animal Crossing is that it's always been one town per copy of the game. On the DS and the 3DS, you can only have one town on your copy of the game. With the Switch, game saves aren't saved on the cartridge, so it's now tied to your system. And that's basically it. That's the change.
I mean, I think there should be more choices for people in how they want to play. But when they say like multi-user homes are being screwed out of it, I get it because some people want complete control over their towns. But I personally, and this is a personal thing, so this isn't, me defending their choice, but I actually like it better this way. I've always when I played the GameCube version and when I played the DS version, I liked that everyone shared the same town because you would see stuff that other people had added when you were gone, and I thought that was really fun. Especially because the DS one had the constellations, so I'd go like, oh hey, there's a new constellation that my roommate added when I wasn't, playing. So I thought that was fun, especially because Animal Crossing is something you don't play for multiple hours in a day unless you're weird. You just do your stuff and then you end and you play it later. Once again, that's not defending the choice. I just don't personally care because of how I enjoy playing.
Yeah, I don't defend Nintendo's decision, but I'm just surprised that people are surprised about it because it's been like this.
It's how it's
It's
kind of
been
always
like
worked.
this.
I think
Like,
people just kind of expect it to
people
change. 'cause
people are
Pokemon
expecting
changed, but-
Nintendo to catch up with the times.
Yeah.
No, they never will.
I think the only thing that really irks the hell out of me is not just the removal of cloud saves, because only 3 games total do that, but the fact that apparently they're going to be disabling the transfer save data option. So if you want to move your save from an old console to a new console, you just can't. That means it'll be the only game that it won't be able to do that.
And this
But
is
then
the
they
one
also-
said where if you ring up Nintendo, they can transfer it for you or something.
Yeah, that's so bizarre. But apparently they released a statement where we're like, well, that's not true anymore. So I
Okay.
don't know what to believe.
It was probably a mistake, honestly, because there's no reason that should be the case. Because if you get a new console, you should be able to just switch everything over to it.
It's also
that's how
a
it's-
hard
it is for the
built-in
3DS.
OS function. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's not something they can just enable and disable the cloud
Yeah.
saves or the recording. So
'Cause,
I'd be
Animal Crossing
surprised.
Animal Crossing didn't have cloud saves on the 3DS. You could not, or save backups. You could not back up your save for Animal Crossing on the 3DS. So it probably wouldn't have been the case here. I guess people were hoping that they would change, but Nintendo. You just gotta listen. If you want Nintendo games and you want a Nintendo console, you've gotta accept that this company's gonna be behind the times for a lot of it.
Yeah.
They're doing their own thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how it is.
Yeah.
But all right, anything else, or we good to wrap up?
I
think we're good. I just found out they're making a new Ty the Tasmanian Tiger game.
It's not new. It's a port of the first one on HD. It was also a Kickstarter game.
Why
From
though?
that at the end of March, because clearly enough people wanted it to happen that it had a successful
Why-
Kickstarter.
Why do we live in the timeline where that is a thing and Gex is not? I don't understand.
Yeah, well, I mean, I am
They just
disappointed
need to
about
start a Gex
but-
Kickstarter. It'll
I mean,
it'll be good. It'll work. It'll sell.
I mean,
we could.
it would, to be fair, if we could actually get the rights to port the second Gex or even the first Gex to Switch,
Gex 3
and did a
remake.
Kickstarter, then like it would succeed. That's the thing. I mean, I want to see. I mean, I like Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, so I'm happy to see it coming to Switch. I will be buying it, but this was just a thing that they wanted. They wanted to do it for ages, the studio, but the game was originally published by EA, so they needed a publish. They needed to either self-publish it or find a new publisher, and that was going to be very difficult. So they went to Kickstarter, and enough people backed it that it's now coming to Switch. And they had a lot of cool little backer awards, and people have started receiving them, including an art book and some other like a hoodie and some other nice stuff.
And by people, do you mean you?
No, I didn't actually back it, despite how me wanting it, just because I don't really have the money to be backing stuff right now. But I've seen people posting about it on Twitter, and I kind of wish I had backed it for the art book, because the art book looks really nice.
Nice. Okay, well,
but
okay,
it's coming out at the end of March, like a very terrible time to release a game, but
that is an awful time. It's so
yeah.
bad. Well,
but
anyways,
it's just
guys,
a simple HD port, so.
I have one more thing I just want to throw out there real quick,
Okay.
and then I think we should probably call it quits. So E3 this year. Once again, we're doing this internal thing where myself and Mango Viking at the moment kind of want to go to E3, but we're not. We never get a good return on E3, like from our articles or videos or anything like that. So I'd like some feedback, and I think a lot of our hardcore fans are the ones that are watching now, on what you would want out of E3 if maybe we were to start maybe some sort of GoFundMe sort of thing to get us money. Because once again, we don't make money from this site. I've never seen a red cent from this site. So this also comes, like, none of us live in LA. It's travel expenses, it's hotel expensive things.
I just want to clarify what Spazzy said. All of the money we make off of Patreon goes directly
back to
back into the site. Yeah, into hosting servers for the site. And
so all the Patreon money recently just went to renewing the website hosting for another 2 years, which is also why the website went down for a few days, because Bluehost fucked it up. But it's back up now, so don't worry.
So yeah, I think I'll bring this up at the beginning of the next Good Morning Source Gaming I'm on, so we get a little bit more people aware of what it is I'm trying to say. Is basically, do you guys actually want us to physically go to E3? And two, you know, if we tried to raise some money to that effect, I'd like to know whether or not it would be successful, because E3 it's rough. Any of these expos and conventions, when you're covering them, are difficult because you're running around, you're making interviews. It's a rewarding thing, but it's not easy. And doing it with only 2 people is no es bueno. So if we could perhaps raise some money to get 3 or 4 people over there to do it properly, I think I would consider it. And since we're so far out, I just kind of wanted to toss that out there to get any feedback. So
Okay.
yeah, that's all.
Are we good? We good?
Yeah, I'm done. Sorry.
All right.
Animal is spelled wrong, Shadow Link.
I know.
yeah.
Okay.
It seems like a very obvious
yeah.
joke. Yeah.
Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for watching. If you like what we do here, please consider supporting us on Patreon. It helps us keep things going and helps us keep us alive.
Yes.
Every little dollar will go a long way to helping us. And we also have a Streamlabs, which should be in the description. If it's not in the description now, it will be after this video's done. But